Hey, Cleveland, this is Tristan Thompson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're listening to Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix at AOL.com. That's thesportsfix at AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
There we go. Off and running. Another edition of the Sports Fix. Not just another edition, a hump day edition of the Sports Fix. We are midway through the week here. Super Bowl week rolling on here. We're back in effect here, back in the studio, back in the saddle today, and we'll start doing some Super Bowl preview. A whole lot of things to get into today. Cavaliers and rolling on. We'll talk some about that here, and man, some of the birds are quiet. I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about some interesting notes coming out of last night's game as Cavaliers win another one, 7 in a row, and now they've got the second half of a back-to-back coming back home to the Q tonight. We'll talk about that momentarily here. We'll jump into that. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. He's here today. We'll talk about the Super Bowl. Hey, they're actually talking about football now. See, the NFL got what they wanted. We ignored domestic violence. We ignored all the guns and violence and all. Roger Goodell. Hey, no, all people have been talking about for the last 10 days is footballs and deflated footballs. The NFL won. This was a giant setup here, and the media fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. But anyways, media day yesterday, they're forcing cats to be there. I just saw a headline, we'll get into it later, but Marshawn Lynch meant now, on top of everything else, I think he's going to get fined for the hat that he was wearing yesterday as well, because of the whole Skittles thing and all of that. But it's not like it's unprecedented. Brian Urlacher got hit 6 figures for doing that a couple of years ago. But we'll talk about that here and get into some Super Bowl stuff. As I said, the silliness of media day descends upon the world, and football is starting to be the focus again. We'll get Dan Wismar in on the conversation. We'll start talking because get all the mess and the fuss out of the way. You've got the 2 best teams in football about to hook it up in the Super Bowl. It's been ignored this whole time because of all the stupidity, the other things that everybody's been talking about. But man, you're about to see the Patriots and the Seahawks, and somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose, but it's going to be 2 of the best teams in football. No doubt about it. The 2 best teams in football are going to meet in the Super Bowl. So we'll start talking in that direction with Dan Wismar, talk a little bit of Indians as well. Man, this pitch clock, well, I want to see, I mean, they're just experimenting with it, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. Let's see what Dan Wismar thinks. We'll talk some Tribe. Only 2 Monday editions of the Sports Fix left till spring training for those of you keeping that countdown with us. Doug Plagens, the voice of the Lake Erie Monsters and one of the voices of the AHL All Star Game the other day. Doug was one of the few honored to call the game. We're going to talk to Doug about that. He was, of course, on the Sirius XM nationwide broadcast, worldwide broadcast there of the AHL All Star Game. We'll talk to Doug Plagens and look ahead to the post All Star break, kind of second half. It's a little bit into the second half already, but second half of the season, semantics aside, we'll talk about that with Doug Plagens. We'll talk about a whole lot of things going on. I'm digging it. Joe Haden doing some good stuff with the Special Olympics. A lot of that. I've got something I want to get into here early on, so instead of telling you what we're going to get into, how about we just get into it? Let's do it. Welcome in to I always do that when I say let's do it and I'm done with my little rambling on. I've like the card player at the casino. You know how they wipe the hands, show you both sides, and say thanks guys for playing. I swear on a weird subliminal thing, I'm letting you in behind the scenes. Every time I say that, I clap my hands together and I literally feel like I'm about to say, all right guys, thanks for playing. I wipe them both ways. Anyways, welcome into the show. You're getting the behind the scenes look. It's like the media day version of the Sports Fix here. We're off and running. Welcome in. J-Rocc here with you guys. Jerry Myers across the Sports Fix Radio Network, as we do each and every weekday, by the way, live here at noon. Thank you for being with us. If you're always here, if you're here for the first time today as we do it, maybe you're listening live on TuneIn and TuneIn's radio app worldwide, on Spreaker and Mixler, their respective digital and mobile applications. Perhaps you're enjoying the harmonious tones of the show right across the home base, the sportsfix.net, your one-stop shop for all things you need for Cleveland sports and the Sports Fix. Welcome in all of you live as well. Welcome in thousands of you listening around the world on digital delay 24 hours a day. Time zones all over the place on such websites as iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes and Stitcher Radio and SoundCloud and all of the CarPlay, all of the podcast features, all the ways that you download, feed, or subscribe to the show. Thank you guys so much for being with us here each and every day, or as I said, being here for the first time. If you are here for the first time, then you've never heard this before. If you're here all the time, then you know where I'm going next. This is your show, baby, so take advantage of that. Phone lines are open. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535 is the number to call, not just now, not just live, but there is a hotline attached there 24 hours a day. If you're listening to the show and it's 3:17 in the morning Eastern time, hey, you're still able to call in and get your take on the show. We'll play it on the next live broadcast. It doesn't matter what time it is, live or on delay. Hit us up, 216-539-7535. Leave your take on the hotline if you can't get through live. If you can't get through at all, hit us up on social media. Maybe you're at work. A lot of you listen to us at your office, on your phone, at your desktop. So hit us up on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Join the nearly 23,000 followers of the Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix, or just search in your Sports Fix box or in your Facebook search box for the Sports Fix. We should be the only ones, as I say every once in a while. If we're not, let me know. I've got to go beat some people up. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix, or tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE, at The Sports Fix CLE. And as always, you can email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Before I get rolling here too much in the show, yesterday, you guys know we didn't have a live show yesterday. I had career day at my son's school. And, listen, you're talking about a bunch of second graders here. I shouldn't even have doubted this would happen. But I did, about 45 minutes or so, and I'm talking to the kids about everything that I've done, both as a pro wrestler and as a radio guy. And I'm really kind of, I'm broad stroking the wrestling stuff. I mean, I get it. They're kids and all of that. But really, I'm talking more about because it's like going in and telling a bunch of second graders you can play in the NFL. That's great, but we're talking about something that's really hard to do, takes a lot of work. Not that radio doesn't take a lot of work too, but that's much more realistic of a goal than the pro wrestling part of it. But anyways, so I'm really focusing on talking about doing the play-by-play and all the different things, doing the news that I've done, hosting a show, the difference between being a DJ that does music and then doing a talk show, as I've done for the last 6 or so years here. And anyways, doing all this, open up the floor for questions. All these hands go up in the air. So, man, I'm all right, man. Let's go over here. Question. Bam. Of course. First question. Have you ever met John Cena? Well, yeah, of course I've met John Cena. And I actually stopped him and I said, that's not even anything tricky there. That's usually the first question when I do career days that kids ask because, hey, I get it. Okay, so we'll move past that question. All right, who's got something else for it? Let me tell you something. 25 minutes of questions later, I got maybe two 2 questions about radio the whole time. One of which was, have I interviewed LeBron James? So, which you knew that one was coming too. And, but I mean, literally, there was like, a question about how do I do my radio show? Where's my studio? That's about it. What radio stations have I been on? That's it. In 25 minutes of question and answer. But let me tell you something. Every wrestling question in the world, it was great. It was funny. But it was a good time to be had for sure. And I love doing that stuff. It's not the first time I've done that. You guys know I'm big on it. I love to get out in the community and do all kinds of things. I'm big. That's one of the cool things about what we do, man. It's not just having a platform, but being able to do stuff with it too, man. Being able to get out in the community, help causes and things. Obviously, this wasn't like that, but I love to do all of that stuff, man. And plus, I get to engage and interact. Those kids, that was one of the good few radio questions that I got yesterday. It was, what do I, love about it? And I said, hey, man, I love this. I love engaging. And actually, you should have seen the wheels in my head working, because I'm used to our thing. We, radio, this is majority of an adult audience. Well, I don't know about all of you out there, but for the most part, this is supposed to be an adult thing that we do here. And I use big words and like to show off the vocabulary and do all of that stuff that we do, all the fun that we have every day here. And you should see my wheels turning as I'm going, man, well, I don't think they're gonna, and this is while I'm talking live, I'm going, well, I don't think these second graders are gonna dig the term engage the audience and the art of discussion, and I don't think those are going to flow too well with a bunch of second graders. But like I told them, I love this. I love back and forth. I love the debate, the discussion, the act of people. I told them, I said what I tell you guys sometimes. I said some guys will hang up on everybody that doesn't agree with them, and they only want to hang out with people that agree with them. I'm the opposite. I don't want to hang out with everybody that disagrees with me, because that's a headache if you do that 24 hours a day. But I love being around a variety of opinions. That's what makes our world work, when you've got a whole bunch of different opinions, and somebody, and that person's up for discussion, but somebody figures out who's got a good germ here and a good piece there and a good part there. You put all those together, that's when good things happen in our world in general. That's how things get invented. That's how problems get solved. Discussion, and not being locked into one singular way of thinking. So anyways, long story short, fun had at the career day. Children are the future. Hopefully a few of them go on to, man, none of them are coming out there. They don't care about radio. They don't want to talk to you people. They want to put on their spandex and get out there and wrestle John Cena. So whatever, man. But it was fun, and I love doing that stuff. Can't wait to get out there and do something again. Speaking, you know what? Before we go any more, something else I want to get into while we're just kind of hitting all the topics here, getting rolling on the show. I want to get into the Cavs, but I think I want to save that here for after the break here. Is right before, maybe about an hour and a half before we went live here. Of course, we go live at noon in the Eastern time zone. I was going through some stuff, and I got tagged in a post here. As you guys know, I mean, all the social media interaction that we've got. When I come on every morning to get things rolling in the office, if I have less than 100 notifications, it was a slow night. I mean, between the 2 pages and all of that. So anyways, I'm going through all of that stuff, and I come across an article here, and I don't even know if I should give, because this is really it's not at all a reputable site. As a matter of fact, it's not even, if you're trying to think of who I'm talking about, it's not even one you would think of. It's not any of the normal ones that we say. It's not even like Bleacher Report and any bagging on them. It's just one of these sites that's like whatever. And anyways, whole point is the article that I was pointed towards, these guys took the same statement that we've heard, and this is going to go right into the point of just disingenuous, completely false media, guys who just write absolute falsehoods for clicks, and then people propagate it. Like what I'm going to talk about here, this particular article had been shared hundreds of times, commented on hundreds of times. Now, obviously, if you track it down like a spider web, which I don't have the time or the inclination to do, who knows how many times those shares have been shared and commented. So it really starts to get, that's the definition of getting viral. No, Bruce, this isn't any, I know you don't like the Plain Dealer, and I know I've got problems with some things that they do, and we all have issues with certain things there. They're reputable. It doesn't matter, even if you don't like some of the things they do. It's not anybody reputable. It's some sports world report dot whatever. It's just a jabroni site, to be totally honest with you, man. And here's why. You want to know why? Here's what the story that they put out is. They're propagating the Brian Hoyer has demanded that the Browns release Johnny Manziel before he will negotiate a contract with them. And his basis for this article, that whoever this person is that wrote the article, because they don't even put a byline, it's by the website, so I don't know. But the whole genesis behind this is that same quote that all of us have talked about, where and literally he uses the quote in his article, whoever wrote this, of Hoyer's agent Linta saying, all we want is an opportunity. We just want to know that it's a competition. Hey, if it's Johnny, if it's a draft pick, whoever, we just want to compete. As long as it's not, hey, you're coming in and you have no chance to be the quarterback, then that would cause him to go somewhere else. Of course, that's been the statement, but he uses that and says, well, I've got knowledge behind the scenes that what he's actually done is demanded that, and he writes a point blank article saying, and people repeating this as fact, that Brian Hoyer has demanded the release of Johnny Manziel to negotiate and sign a new contract. Listen, I don't think maybe a guy like Peyton Manning, but I don't think there's more than a handful of players in the entire league that could demand anybody be released before they sign a contract with a team. And that's just the realities of football. I mean, there's 54 players on every team. I get it if you're a star, but I mean, seriously, maybe Tom Brady could get away with demanding somebody get cut. I don't think Russell Wilson could. I don't think anybody except maybe a couple of players. So to think that a run-of-the-mill quarterback like Brian Hoyer, which is what he is, he's a decent average quarterback that'll win you some games if you've got a good system around him. I like that. That's fine, because that's better than anything else the Browns can do right now. And I'll take that, smile, and go see what we can do in the future. But think about it, man. You really? But the fact is of those hundreds of comments that I scrolled through, of all of those shares, I mean, the majority of the people who believed it was what amazed me. I saw so many people sharing it with comments like, get rid of this joker immediately. Who does Hoyer think to demand this? My point is when people wrap up something and make it look pretty, and they put it on a professional looking website, and it's got a website name like Sports Report, and it seems like it's reputable, and you go, okay, well, yeah, this has got to be legit, because I read, what's the old joke? If it's on the internet, it must be true. And that's a perfect example right here. I'm staring at the article as I'm talking to you, and it's just, between the clickbait on the title and then starting to go through the comments and just seeing how many people, hook, line, and sinker, were reeled right in. They may not have even clicked on the bogus article and read it. They may have just jumped to it just by the article's headline and first two lines that it shows in the little Facebook preview. Point is look at that. And that's just irresponsible. That's not even like, I get on some guys for pushing certain agendas and certain things, and I hate the way the media tries to lead people awry. That Manziel mania that happened this year with Whedon a couple of years ago, because they insult, and because a lot of people, especially on the mainstream sports radio, they'll insult anybody who doesn't believe that. I cannot tell you how many of their minions told me that I didn't know a thing about football because I didn't believe in Brandon Whedon as the Browns' quarterback of the future. And I'm talking about drive time. You know them if you live here in Cleveland, Cats. I mean, I could tell you some stories, and it's amazing. And then they back out of it so quick. It's like Manziel now. Everybody in town on the radio now knew that Manziel was a bust. They knew it. They didn't know that. They didn't know nothing. I don't care what they're telling you now. They rode the train and borrowed $20 from their mom so they can get in the front of it. They wanted to add some gas. Here, Johnny, let me chip in on the gas money to drive you into town, even though you're a millionaire, man. We don't just want to ride this train. We want to drive it for you. Let me throw some rose petals down as you come into town. And now they're all running like roaches when the lights come on as fast as they can, running from Money Manziel, man. But anyways, the point being is that's even different, even though that drives me crazy. That's opinion, and at least opinions can be discussed and debated and hashed out and all of that stuff, and not blatant lies, not bad media, false reporting, and just completely making things up. You guys know I try to be so clear, like, and tell you, hey, I got this from, it's an okay source, or hey, man, this person usually is pretty right, so take what you want. But I always say, take what you want out of this. If you want to run with it, okay. If you want to hedge your bets, okay, but we'll see. But this is what I'm hearing, and then we'll see. But to blatantly lie, I mean, I could not imagine clicking on the microphone. Not just me, a lot of people with integrity in this business, and there are a lot of them. It sounds like, you're just bashing everybody, but there are a lot of good people in this business, both radio, TV, and print. But I mean, there's a lot of us that could not even imagine clicking on the mic tomorrow and going, hey, man, just making something up, like saying, hey, look, I got a source in Berea that told me that blah, blah, this, that, and this is, and just making it up so that I can get you guys talking about my radio show for a couple hours or what. I don't even know what I would get. I don't even know what you gain out of that. I get it with these people because they get people to pay ad companies for clicks on their website. So they need thousands of clicks an hour so that they can make a penny for every 1,000 clicks that they get or whatever. So they've got a clickbait, and it's like those things where you click on it and it's nothing like what it was. It jumps you to something else. It's the same thing here. It's a clickbait article, but so many people. And this is not your fault, because I'd do the same thing if I didn't know any better. You scroll through, you see it. It's been shared by hundreds of your friends. It's been commented on by hundreds of people. The website name looks legit. Why wouldn't you believe that? That's not even something to blame the average fan for. Why wouldn't you believe it? And then this is what they get. So they share it and they get mad. And then this is where you get a town full of people that want to see Johnny Manziel all season long. It's stuff like this because of garbage media. And I just can't stand that, man. And I'm like, this is a blatant. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this article, and it literally, Cleveland Browns rumor, Brian Hoyer demands Johnny Manziel release in contract. And then the subtext, the Browns already have enough issues and now have to work through issues with re-signing Brian Hoyer, including Hoyer's demand that Johnny Manziel not be a part of the quarterback discussion. Get out of here with that. Guys, be careful what you read. Say what you want. I don't like ESPN a lot. I like Yahoo a little bit more because they've got some more reputable guys. Regardless, even if it's ESPN, their opinions are colored as hell, and they got idiots like Mark May, but they do got a ton of guys that do know what they're talking about. I mean, when those guys, Schefter, they do break all the stuff because their top guys do have the sources and get the info. It's just that they need to fill 24 hours of TV, so they've got to throw 50 hacks out there, but they do have the top shelf guys too between the sites. Woj over at Yahoo. I mean, you could go through a lot of different guys, man. I mean, at least there's reputable stuff, even if they sprinkle it in the mix of a bunch of garbage that they throw at you all day long. And trust me, ESPN can throw garbage at you all day long. But at least there's some reputable people behind there and some things, some grains of truth in the sands of fiction that they put out there. But stuff like this is just a blatant lie. But they know that 10,000 people will click on this thing in the first 2 hours that they put it up. So, guys, just be careful with that stuff. And especially be careful sharing it around, too. Because, like I said, that's how 10,000 people see it in an hour. Because, hey, man, I got to show this to my friends. Look at what this Hoyer guy is doing. Can you believe this? Here, I thought he was a good guy. And then there you go. So, anyways, you know what? Let's talk about something good. Let's get rolling, man. Let's talk about them Cavaliers. Last night, victory, and now the back end of the back-to-back here coming up here as they get back home. But hop up to Detroit, Rock City, take care of some business. 7 in a row here for the Cavaliers. And I'll tell you, in the next, 10 games or so, they've only got a couple of tough tough teams here. Other than that, it's a run of sub-500 teams as we've been kind of looking forward to. But one of those tough ones here is coming up tonight. You got Portland, you got Damian Lillard and Aldridge. But let's talk about last night, talk about the Cavs. Hell, I saw a good one with the Bulls and the Warriors after the Cavs game last night, too. Hey, I see you guys over there in the chat room, man. Good point, man. Not to, down on the conversation, but, man, you guys talking about the Challenger anniversary, the space shuttle that exploded. 29th anniversary today. Gotta tell you guys, man, I remember being in elementary school, young. I can't remember what grade, but it was one of the low numbers, that's for sure. And I remember them wheeling. Back then, you had one TV that got shared by all the classrooms or whatever. And I remember them wheeling the cart with the television in. And we were going to watch the launch because, those were like big deals at that time, man, when space shuttles launched. And I remember that. And then everything going. And I just remember we didn't know, we're a bunch of kids. We knew what we were seeing was bad stuff and it was a tragedy. But I mean, I remember like teachers huddling and then going out in the hallway to talk about it and just leaving us to watch on the television. And we ended up watching all day the coverage of that as it was going on. Man, 29 years ago, man. That makes me feel old on top of everything else, man. I don't know. Are you sure? I'm going to say that's wrong. I think it was only 19 years ago, Bruce. I don't think you know what you're talking about over there in the chat room. It could not. I know he's right. It's 1986, right? Yeah, absolutely, man. Wow. Seems like yesterday. I can remember, right? I bet you can't. That's one of the few. I don't have a ton of them. 9/11, Challenger, a couple of other things. The day the Browns moved. You can remember, and it's crazy that that's one of them, but that was something that doesn't happen every day. Remember it like exactly where you're at. I remember I was sitting in the car driving around with my dad as they were playing it live on the radio, all the press conference and everything, and then we got to the house and went in and watched the rest of it, watched Art standing there on the dais. But yeah, that's one of the couple that I actually can remember exactly where I was when that one happened there, man. All right, well, there we go. Good one on that one, Bruce, too. I did not even realize that anniversary here today, man. Sometimes we get so locked in the sports bubble, man, that you don't. I haven't even looked at the newspaper outside. You know what I mean? The outside news sources. It's usually mid-afternoon before I even get around that. It's all sports in the morning because we got to rock and roll. So let's rock and roll. Let's keep the sports fix moving. Talk some Cavaliers when we come back. 7 in a row. We'll pick it up from there. Hey, if you want to get in, phones are open. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. We'll talk some Cavs hoops. Then we'll come back with Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. Doug Plagens joining us talking Monsters hockey and more. We've still got a ton of Sports Fix ready to go. Hump Day edition of the Sports Fix. Let's do it. Coming right back talking Cavs next here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix, the show that asks the question,
what you talking about, Lou? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou?
We'll be right back.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events, Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
The Sports Fix is on iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish, Dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen. Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen with your fast break action.
I love it. Love any excuse to play that. Cavs are making it happen, however. They've made it happen 7 nights in a row here as they look to extend that streak. It's going to be tough. No easy one coming up tonight as second half of a back-to-back here. They took care of business against the Pistons last night. But you've got Portland, even with a banged-up Aldridge. And, hey, a lot of people thought, I got to give credit, going tonight, my buddy here last week when we were looking ahead to the game, when word came out of the injury, it was like, man, game, man, not going to be as good now. I was looking forward to seeing Aldridge, and then, boom, what did he say the next day? He said, I'm going to play through this, man. And, you've still got Damian Lillard. You've still got a lot over there, man. Lopez. I mean, that's going to be a hell of a game tonight at the Q as the Cavs hope to extend this winning streak. But before we look ahead, we've got to look back. Welcome back into the Sports Fix. J-Rocc rolling on with you guys here. Hour 1 continues. Coming up next, Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan will be with us. We're going to shift gears and talk some Super Bowl here, some Indians as well. Doug Plagens from the Lake Erie Monsters will be here in hour 2. But right now, we're talking Cavs hoops. If you want in, 216-539-7535, Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Meanwhile, last night, the Cavaliers, as we said, another victory here against the Pistons. Cavs took care of business. Bit of a slow start early on for both teams. Kind of a sluggish first quarter there, but Cavs turned it up in the second quarter defensively. Defensively, a good first half for them. Held Detroit under 40 points for the first half there as they were up double digits by halftime and then rolled on there throughout the rest of the second half. Defense led up for the Cavs a bit in the fourth quarter, but, at that point, they tried to give it back a little bit there, but I went and caught the second half of the game after I called my broadcast last night, Willoughby South down at their gymnasium, and that was exactly the way my friend set the stage before I went back and rewound and watched the game. He goes, well, the Cavs are trying to give this one back, but they should hold on, and they did. Kyrie had a great night last night, 38 points. He had 6 dimes, 3 boards, 3 steals, and a block shot. A stuffed stat sheet for Kyrie Irving. And you know what? I'm glad that came first because I wanted to talk about him. David Blatt after the game talked about, and we'll find out tomorrow whether LeBron or whether Kyrie, is named to the All Star team, which I absolutely believe he should be. No doubt in my mind. I'm surprised. I dig Lowry. Lowry's a great little point guard too. But, man, I thought Kyrie had a better first half. He really, I think, could have been named on the starters of that. And I know, and I've been a harsh Kyrie Irving critic over the years too. But even you guys that are on that side with, or were on that side with me, because he's flipping me. I've got to tell you, this is the first time, and it's because of what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball. Kyrie Irving has completely changed his mindset on the defensive side of the ball. He actually plays defense, if you wanted to be sarcastic about it, but he's really showing another gear. I've talked about this a bit in the last few weeks, but he's showing another gear on the defensive side of the ball, man. And for all the talk, David Blatt said last night, he said, hey, LeBron getting himself going here, the way he's played, he's putting himself back in perhaps that second half conversation for the MVP and all of that. And I can't argue with what LeBron's done statistically since he came back. Absolutely can't. And to be honest, I gave credit when I said the other day, it's the way it's coming in the flow, like that game, not last night, but the previous victory, came in the flow of the offense where you didn't even feel it happening until you look at the stack and go, wow, that was all right, because it was just everybody was flowing, passing, doing their thing, and it just so happened to end up there more on that night. That's when I really dig seeing that. But for all that talk, man, I'm saying Kyrie Irving. I'm not saying Kyrie Irving should be in the MVP conversation here before the first half is even over or anything like that. But if things continue the way they've gone this season, and I mean on the court, the effort, the defensive side of the ball, the improvement from month to month. I mean, Kyrie Irving from month 1 to month 2, and now heading into month 3 here, or full months of this basketball season. Kyrie Irving has improved in each one of those as he's gone. Whatever it is, needing to step up your game because of LeBron, whether the spotlight or whatever combination of circumstances it is, Kyrie's improved as the season's gone, and he's done it while playing the second most minutes in the NBA. He's at 31 or 38.1, I believe, for the season. It's second most in the league. Kyrie Irving playing a ton of, which he can. He's young, he can. I know all the talk about being injury prone, but he's playing a truckload of minutes and able to hold up to it so far. I know conditioning was a big thing that he worked on in the offseason, very much more than usual, trying to shake that injury-prone thing. But regardless of all that, going back to the defensive side of the ball, and that's where all the change has come in Kyrie's game, and he's being as aggressive defensively as he used to be just offensively here. I've got to say, if it plays its way out this way throughout the season, man, he, as much as LeBron James, would be, in my opinion, in that MVP conversation. Because when you say MVP and you talk about what would a team be without that guy, obviously, LeBron, you see the difference in the numbers when he was out. And that wasn't all just LeBron. That was a different team than it is now, just a few weeks later. Literally, with the changes that they made, it's physically a different team than it was. But the point can be pointed out there. That's what MVP, one of the things when you figure it out in any league, when you look at baseball, basketball, football, is not only who was the best, but also when you took him off of his team makes the biggest difference, because that's value. That's what most valuable really means. And I think if things played out and continue the way they're going, hey man, Kyrie would be right there too, because that was the secret of this season, as we said, was getting him going and being able to get everybody flowing together here and making this work. Otherwise, it's never going to come together the way it should. If it does work, regardless of what the big end is, championship, finals, whatever it may be, I don't know. But if it all comes together like it should, I really think as much credit would go to that young man as it would to LeBron James, as it would in any combination where they get to get. But I'm just saying, that's something to watch in the second half. He's got to keep it up. Obviously. I mean, I said that 2 months ago. I said, hey, I'm starting to like the defense. Let's see if he's still doing it next month. And now he's still doing it. That's the other thing, too, is that, now he's pushing himself on both sides of the floor for 38 minutes a game. And that's going to take a toll on you as well. So then you start to lighten up defensively. You start to save yourself a bit on the offensive end. Let's see if Kyrie falls back into old habits. But, yeah, I would make that argument for sure. And you guys know I was big end of last season. we all saw the difference when Kyrie went out. Dion came in, and they played better for a little stretch of games there at the end, and all the things that we've talked about. But the maturation of Kyrie Irving, to me, is one of the biggest stories of the early part of the Cavaliers season here, because that was one of the true X factors. I see Bruce in the chat room mentioned Kevin Love earlier. That's another one. You know what? Chris Bosh proved to be Karnak the Great when it came with my dated Johnny Carson show reference. I don't even know how many people get that, but what's Karnak? But Chris Bosh was quite proficient when he said Kevin Love was going to have the hardest adjustment of all, and he has. But you know what? Hey, he continued. You know what, though? He continues to get rebounds. He does. He continues to hustle. But last night in the post-game show, when Fred was talking to him, if you guys were watching it on Fox Sports, when Fred McLeod was talking to him, first thing my friend noticed when he's on the screen, and I think it's just the Kevin Love body language when he's got his head down and he's sitting in his locker, but the first thing my friend said is, man, he just looks so sad. He looks so sad. It looks like he's trying to figure his place. His body language says, I want to be here, but I'm trying to figure out my place. I'm trying to figure out how I fit in this thing. There's some nights where I fit better than others. But even with that, I mean, he still finds ways to contribute. But obviously, you know, there are a lot of people just, and you know what? Bruce, before the show, hit me up, and I couldn't really talk to him. I say, I'm going on the air, but I'm going to talk about this when we go on the show anyway, so thanks for putting it in the front of my mind. Is, you know, now the narrative has turned to, you know, let's get on Kevin Love in the media a bit. Let's get, and look, you guys know I would have preferred to keep on young Andrew Wiggins and seen him grow with this team. And anyways, but what's done is done. I mean, Wiggins is going to be good no matter what. He's going to be good there in Minnesota. We're going to see. I don't know how great, but we'll see, because I think it's going to be pretty great. But I mean, there's some stuff in Kevin Love's game, and again, I think you look to, it's not the perfect model, that Heat model, but you look to the model of what they did, and they were better at the beginning than the Cavs were at the beginning. But you look at how they tried to learn to change the role of Bosh a bit and tweak it, and they got successful. And I gotta think that eventually they will figure that out here and find the right places to put him on the floor. I mean, you can see there's times, and Coach Blatt said, rightfully so, there's going to be times where we forget to get him the ball, but there's times where he's got to demand it, and they got to find a balance, because he's in that no man's land where he doesn't want to demand the ball too much, because then it's all about Kevin Love, and he doesn't want to be that guy. But, you know, at the other end, if you don't demand it enough, then you're not making the impact on the game that you could make either. So, and that's the hard part of that adjustment, and we continue to see him struggle. But I don't know if you guys get that body language, but I looked up when my friend said that. I was actually on Twitter. I looked up on my phone, and he nailed it. Like, the look on his face was just like a guy. He looked so sad and confused. Like, not, and I don't mean that in a bad way. He answered the question. That's some of that may be his natural, you know, shyness or aloofness there with the media when he's perhaps after a game and he's deep in thought about something. But it did have that, I'm trying to find my place in this thing vibe to it. But if that can happen without negativity, then that's what you want. That's natural stuff. But where I was going with that is now that's the popular narrative, is to just slam Kevin Love now. And Kevin Love is not living up to his end of the, just like David Blatt. Just like David Blatt. And I got to tell you, now this is one where I go, man, I was on this one from day one. I said, please don't let him run this guy out of town. How many times did you hear, not just myself, several, we've talked, Eddie Jansen, who, by the way, will be with us tomorrow, talking about the Cavs heading into the next back-to-back here, but said, David Blatt, across the board, in this league, in the Euro League, overseas, no matter what, college, pro, any level you want to go, when you talk to the best of the best and you say, hey, what do you know about this David Blatt guy? What have they all said? Hey, man, that guy's a hell of a coach, man. Hey, that guy's a great coach. And, man, and look, I'm not saying that he's out of the water yet, but what my thinking was, if to a man, this is people's opinion about David Blatt, I don't want to see us run him out of town before we find out if this guy's a good coach or not, man, because could everybody be wrong? Because there's not a person that you can point to where you could say, yeah, well, 6 guys say he's great and 6 guys say that he's not, and you go, well, those are some different opinions there. I mean, to a man, the opinion was that David Blatt was a hell of a hire for the Cavaliers, and one of the things that he was dealing with fighting upstream was the change in the type of team that it was, and all of that's why I was getting so frustrated with LeBron in the early part of the season, because he's hanging the man out to dry, and I can dig as part of, I'm not sure yet either. And I get it that the guy had to prove himself, not just to LeBron, but to each of the players. That's a natural part of it. I mean, he can't just walk in and they just respect him. You would think so. That's the way it used to work, but it doesn't work that way anymore, especially in the NBA when the player is above the coach, and we all know that. So, but still, to leave him hanging, and maybe LeBron was testing him, and I didn't like it. I don't like it now. But maybe it was, hey, let's see if this guy can man up and swim through the tough times. I'm not just going to bail him out right away. But I was getting so mad, and I remember that game a few weeks ago where Reggie Miller made the point on the air, and I said, I jumped off my couch and said, that's what I've been screaming for weeks, is if that man LeBron just says, hey, back off David Blatt, he's our coach, everything's going to be just fine, everybody would have shut up. Everybody would have backed off of David Blatt. You know what I mean? But he didn't. And that was driving me crazy, because I'm like, the longer you stay quiet, the more people are going to say, this guy's toast. And it was looking like if things didn't turn around, I'm telling you, he wasn't going to make it through the season. He wasn't going to be gone in a week. But if the season had played out where they're still treading 500 by the end of the season, there would have been a change made. No doubt. No doubt in my mind there would have been something done there at all. But they didn't. They stayed the course. They made the trades that they need to make. They realized how flawed the makeup of the team was. LeBron went out and got his head together as much as anything else. As much as we talk about his body getting right, he went and got his head right. I honestly believe it. He called it a 2-week vacation. Come on. He took off from his birthday through the Ohio State National Championship, and then came back to work. I'm just saying, that was a working vacation, if you ask me. But whatever it was, it worked, because the cat came back to work feeling good, playing well. We see the difference in how the Cavaliers have balled out. But that was one of my biggest things was, man, we're going to run this guy out of town before we find out. Hey, he may well not be ready for the NBA, but we won't find out because he's going to be run out. Now, look at the difference. And I like his demeanor after games. You can see now he's himself. He was so tense after games in the early part of the season, afraid to say the wrong thing. And he still minces his word a bit, but you have to. You don't want to say the wrong thing and blow up the chemistry on your team. But he feels a lot more free to be himself. He smiles a lot more during the post game now, which you'd be amazed what would happen when you win 7 in a row. But that pressure is off. It's like a pressure cooker, man. They opened the cap last week. The pressure came off of this thing, and you're seeing a different side of David Blatt as well. His rotations are getting better because he's got a better group of guys to rotate around, and it's making a difference. It is making a difference, you guys. But again, look at that, and going back to that now, man, and that's the other thing. That's the part of the media where I say it's just opinion. They're not being disingenuous, but that's the next thing, like ride the Manziel train, and everybody draft Brandon Whedon because he shoots clay pigeons. Now it's fire David Blatt because only David Blatt could lose with all this talent on this team, and now that they're straightening that out, then it's, and now it switches to, Kevin Love's got to go because he's the problem here. Although, I do say that they have to continue to evolve that. That's going to be the piece that's going to take, some time for them to assimilate in, man. But again, if he can continue, if he can get double-doubles, if he can grab them boards while he's assimilating himself, that's fine. Now, maybe you want to have the discussion, and we can do this later, what value you put on that money-wise, because if you can't get peak Kevin Love, do you pay max contract money? But that has nothing to do with basketball in January and February. That has to do with all the stuff that comes later with the opt-ins and free agency, man. Right now, not having a situation while you're still trying to assimilate into this offense, that works. And again, he is doing a good job at that there too. So, but it's going to be rough, and we continue to see. But when you've got nights where you get freaking 70 points out of Kyrie and LeBron, and they do it in the flow of the offense the way you saw last night, and Tristan Thompson continuing to be a beast on the boards. We've seen him. He's actually got himself now, I think he's just outside maybe like 21 in the league in average rebounds per game. He's closing in on 9 as he has just continued to attack those boards. I had an argument with some guys last night about him, Tristan Thompson, because there's a couple guys that were like, man, I would trade Tristan Thompson for this guy, that guy, this guy. He shoots this and blah, blah, blah. And big deal, he gets rebounds. I'm like, bro, the only way this team works, you got to have a half a dozen Tristan Thompsons, because you've got enough guys that shoot the ball. You've got enough stars. You've got enough guys that need the ball. You got Kyrie. You got LeBron. You got Love. Now you got J.R. Smith. Whatever shots were left over, J.R. Smith has now taken them. He has housed them. He's taxed them. He looked at everybody when he came here and said, all them extra shots, they're mine. He's taken those. So there's nothing left. So you got to have the Deli D's. You got to have Tristan Thompsons and Verge's, guys that don't care if they shoot the ball, don't care. All they want to do is rebound and defend and do all of the muck work and the dirty work that you got to have to win a championship. There's only 2 types of players that can be, 3 types of players that can be on this Cavs team. The stars, the mid-range guys that support the stars and fill out your bench, and then the grinders that go out there and do all the work that the stars don't do. And that's how you put together a superstar team. You have to balance out the haves with the don't cares. They have it. They just don't care about it. They don't care to show it off. They don't need to get 20 points a game. They'll go out there and do it if you need them to. But they're more than content to be a role player, and that's Tristan Thompson to a T, man. And he's eating them up, even though he's nuts with that contract and all that and turning it down. I mean, I think the Cavs were right on about Tristan Thompson's value, but we'll see. But again, just like Kevin Love, that's July's problem. This is January, and they just got to keep playing some basketball. We'll preview the game tonight at the end of the show. Cavaliers back home, Portland. Let's take a break, get you some news, and get my man Dan Wismar in on the conversation. We'll shift gears here. Talk some football, Super Bowl, rolling downhill now, getting set to see the 2 best teams in football do it up. Can you believe that we are on the verge of perhaps, or at least what should be one of the better Super Bowls in quite some time, and it's legitimately the 2 best teams in football, and the game is the last thing that anybody has talked about for the last 10 days? It's sickening if you're a fan of the sport, of any sport, to imagine a game where it's not just your championship, but it's one of the rare years where you get it right and you actually have the best teams in it, and should be good. And meanwhile, the talk is on everything but the actual game. That bothers me as a fan of any sport. It would be if it was the World Series, if it was the NBA Finals, but it was the Super Bowl here. Let's talk about that as well. Talk some Indians and all of that. It's Wednesday. Wismar Wednesday, baby. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan joins us next. Doug Plagens also joining us in Hour 2 here on the Sports Fix. Let's roll. Hour 2 coming your way next after the news here on the Sports Fix. Let's dance, baby. Let's dance.
And now, a very special announcement from the Sports Fix.
Black bears weigh between 200 and 500 pounds. Brown bears weigh between 300 and over 1,000 pounds. Black bears run away from you. Brown bears run at you. When attacked by a bear, simply lie still on the ground and cover your face and head with your hands. When the bear is finished batting you around and mauling you, contact the U.S. Forest Service.
And that was a message from the Sports Fix.
Hey, this is Scott Fujita, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Today on Save on Taxes, we ask 100 people what costs less than filing your taxes with IRS Free File.
A car seat. Ooh, a pair of shoes.
The correct answer is nothing. When you use Free File, you get brand name software, tax prep, e-filing, and help with the new healthcare provisions, all for free.
So, did we win anything?
Everybody wins. freefile.irs.gov. It's fast, it's safe, it's free.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck is located at 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 Bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 Bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. Come see .com/Valley Ford Truck. That's quicklane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Signs and Ship, the official printing source of the Sports Fix. Locations in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Florida. Find out more at signsandship.com.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. It's back to work today. Both the Patriots and Seahawks will practice in Arizona for the first time since arriving for the Super Bowl. When it comes to pedigree, neither team is lacking. New England defensive tackle Vince Wilfork is a 5-time Pro Bowl selection.
The saddest thing about this game is you're going to have a winner, you're going to have a loser. But you have the two best teams in this game. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. The two best teams face one another. But one have to lose and one have to win.
The Seahawks are trying to become the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls since the Patriots did it. The New York Times is reporting University Physics Department to help in understanding how air temperature can impact the air pressure in football. Novak Djokovic's quest for a 5th Australian Open title continues. Today in the quarterfinals, the top seed defeated 8th-seeded Milos Raonic in straight sets. Also advancing 4th seed Stan Wawrinka, top seed Serena Williams. Venus Williams lost to Madison Keys. MLB.com reporting the Phillies are still speaking with the Brewers and Blue Jays about a trade involving Philadelphia closer Jonathan Powell.
This Valentine's, wow her with roses from 1-800-Flowers.com. Don't settle for less. Order now with our special offers. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click on the microphone and enter call-in, or call 1-800.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live as we roll on. Well, I missed the mark by 2 minutes, but we're hitting hour 2 regardless here. I'm going to fudge the numbers a bit. Hour 2 of the Sports Fix getting ready to kick off as we roll on across the Sports Fix radio network. J-Rocc back with you. Jerry Myers welcoming you in. Perhaps you just joined us, or perhaps you've been here since the beginning. If you have, we've been having some fun, of course, talking Cavaliers hoops, and they are on a roll looking to make it 8 straight tonight against Portland at the Q. Super Bowl week, believe it or not, I know, as we're talking about all this foolishness around here. I'm sticking to my story, man, that this was a fabrication from the beginning. But what's not a fabrication is the fantastic Super Bowl that's coming. I know the thing that worries me about saying that is that they have a tendency over the years not to live up to the hype. But I mean, this is as blatant as can be, the two best T-side. This is Mayweather-Pacquiao that you've been wanting to see. Well, maybe not that big, but, you know, because those guys will never fight each other here the way they're going. But it's the two guys that you've been looking at for weeks going, yeah, that's the best over there. That's the best over there. Let's see these two guys hook it up. And nobody's talking about that. We are. We're changing that. Dan Wismar is going to join me here. And we'll talk a little baseball, too, as we're just a couple of weeks from spring training. I don't care. that my temperature gauge here says 0 outside, man. I don't care. Because in my heart, it's 70 and sunshiny and spring training's happening. Hey, look, man. Half them guys are already down there getting a head start on spring training. We were talking about that the other day. Salazar's down there, Aguilar, Ramirez, a couple of other guys already getting a head start on spring training. So we can too. In your heart, it's 70. Just keep it there. We're going to keep it right here and go to the phones. Dan Wismar is going to join me. You keep it going on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFix. CLE. Boom! See? 2 minutes stalled out. Now we're into hour 2 officially, and that's where I'm going to go to the phones. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. Dan, how you doing this afternoon?
I am doing great, J-Rocc. How about yourself?
Hey, fantastic. We're here. We're on the air. We're doing this. I mean, really, can it get much better than this? I mean, it can, but I don't care. I'll take it.
Yeah, well, it's the slowest time of year for sports. This is the season when a few years ago all I was looking forward to sitting around this time of year was waiting for the swimsuit issue to hit my door. But it's really slow. The football's going to be over as of Sunday, and baseball a couple of weeks till we kick that off, and it really is a wasteland of sports unless you're really, really into the NBA. Of course, it helps that the Cavs are hot, and they've been a lot of fun to watch here. So that's keeping my interest, and of course, watching the Buckeyes play round ball too, and they're on a little bit of a streak now too. So things are looking up. And in fact, Cleveland sports, right now with the way that the Buckeyes and the Cavs are playing, things are looking up.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm right with you. Think of it from my perspective as a programmer. I'm sitting here looking at the Super Bowl coming up, and I have to remind people, I get it. There's guys like Bruce in the chat room that don't dig the NFL, and they just want to get to baseball. That's fine, but unfortunately, I don't do a radio show for a singular person. I have to think of the masses, and I go, man. For the few of you that want NFL season to end, I mean, the majority don't, and that becomes, like you said, a tough time. You got the Cavaliers here, but it's not as tough for us because we already kind of have a more widened base of the things that we talk about. But even I'm sitting here going, man, I mean, it definitely gets slow from about this point until, first couple weeks of February there. Once you get into spring training, you've got March Madness on the horizon. It picks up. But the next couple of weeks here, you've definitely got to feel your way around having some interesting radio shows to avoid talking about the same repetitive nonsense over and over.
Oh, sure. And, like you say, this is a memorable year in that I can't remember a time when there was less talk about the X's and O's of the Super Bowl and more talk about other crap. Really, when you talk about getting into the middle of February and then on to the 1st of March, you're talking about one of my absolute favorite times of year.
Yeah.
When you've got not only March Madness coming up, but you're in the heart of spring training. You're looking forward to opening day. You've got the Masters the first week of April.
Yep.
You've got, things just crescendoing through the spring. And pretty soon you're talking about opening day, and you're talking about the Masters, and you're talking about March Madness, everything coming together. So, it's not long, but it's a bleak 2 or 3 weeks here where you got to just fight through it and watch some basketball.
Tell me it's not long when I'm programming these shows going, man, what the hell are we going to talk about next Thursday? But we'll make it work, baby. Right. Absolutely. You hit one of my points. You know what, though? Before we get into the football here, because you mentioned the Cavs, and we were just on that before the break, so I'll kind of wrap it there. But where are you at so far here? Obviously watching. I mean, we're here. We're at the midway point of this thing. But you kind of heard my spiel and where I was at with stuff, man. Where do you rein in with things now on where the Cavs are at, and especially Kyrie?
Well, he's been unreal. First of all, I've been a Blatt man from the get-go, from the time I first started reading about him, the time I first heard him talk, till the time I saw him, working the bench and working the sidelines during a game. I wanted him to succeed, not just because he's our guy, but just because of his profile and the fact that he represented a little bit a departure from the same old, rehashing and retrenching with the same group of tired old characters. that coach in the NBA, and so it was refreshing that they made kind of a gutsy move to go get a guy like this who had succeeded at every level. And I thought when I first started seeing him, put together plays coming out of bounds for 5 seconds left in the quarter, and I saw him working some things, and I saw things work first few games of the season. I thought, this guy's going to be fine. People that thought that he was in over his head, I think are going to be proven wrong. Then I was disheartened a little bit when it looked like he wasn't getting respect not only from his own players but from officials, and you could sort of see it during the games that he wasn't getting calls, and he was being, I thought, treated poorly by referees. And I thought, oh man, I hope this isn't going to be a problem. But now, all of a sudden, David Blatt's got a whole lot smarter over the last, couple of weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
The people that thought that, oh man, this guy's over his head, he's not going to make it, and you had guys on ESPN every night on PTI, Will Bond and Kornheiser, kind of blowing taps over this guy's career, and it's just good to see him now, bouncing back. Like I say, he's a whole lot smarter when LeBron is asserting himself and being the superstar that he is. Which brings me back to another thing, Jerry, and you, I'm sure, have observed right from the start very closely this thing. Bill Simmons said it right out of the gate. When LeBron came in this year at the start of the season, he had dropped some weight. He had dropped I think, it looks like he dropped maybe as much as, 20 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And, it was his diet, and he talked about it a little bit preseason. But then he also came out and he was not playing LeBron-like ball, not only in his aggressiveness, but he was just a turnover machine. He looked like he was a little bit weak out there. He almost looked disinterested. I think there was something physically wrong with him, and clearly there was. Have we ever really gotten a clear indication of what it was exactly that was ailing him physically, that he needed to take 2 weeks off for? Knees, soreness, general,
yeah, it was vague.
Malaise
it was
or something. I don't think we ever really got a picture of it. But,
yeah.
What's your take on that in terms of what was wrong with LeBron at the start of the year? Was it mental? Was it physical? What was it? Because clearly there was something there.
I think it's a little bit of all of that stuff. I mean, that, like you said, with the actual what was wrong, they never went further, and I don't have anything more than what the Cavs said, which was a general lower back and then the knee issues with both of those. But, I got to say, man, a lot of it to me was mental. I truly believe that LeBron came up with a game plan. I don't believe that he believed what he said. I don't believe he believed his own hype, to be honest with you, as far as what he was doing the opposite of what he did when he went to Miami. He knew that we went to Miami and promised 1 million championships, so I'm going to come to Cleveland and promise nothing. I'm going to promise nothing and then see what happens because I can't do it again and I can't go through all that. So he went the reverse and he promised it's going to be a rough start. I don't believe that he really believed it would be as rough as it was. Not only that, but I think there was a lot of things in play. And there was, again, the overhype. I mean, you can say what you want, and these players can talk about locking out the focus and all of that. There was 5 million people outside Quicken Loans Arena chanting Kumbaya on opening night as there was a festival going on out there. And, I mean, it was a giant orgasm of Cleveland sports that night. You can't tell me that some of that didn't seep in. LeBron thought, okay, I think his belief was more a couple of week adjustment period where we play 500 ball and then boom, much like Miami. It took about 17, 18 games and then those guys started to flip that switch and get it rolling and then just turned it on the rest of the way from there and almost won the championship first year out. So I think things not going right away. Obviously, as well, his frustration of it was evident. I just think and I called it being a diva. I'm not going to back down from that. I do believe that he was being very diva-like in his attitude with the media, everything. It was almost like he was too cool for school for the first few weeks. Instead of reaching down and saying, let me help these guys up to where I'm at. He said, I'm going to wait, and as soon as they can climb up a little bit on their own, then they can meet me and we'll start making this thing work. And I think when he went away, he got away from that. He got away from everything. I'm like I said, you can call it a working vacation if you want, because it just so happened to time out with his birthday, with the Buckeyes title game, with all of that stuff, man. And he, whatever it was, he changed the way he came back, because his mental approach and the way he's talking about his teammates in the media, it didn't just change because they're playing better, because of all of those things changed. He perhaps realized that I have to, because, you know, I've mentored a lot of people in radio over the years, in pro wrestling. I've trained a lot of guys, and some guys you gotta be hard on them, man. They don't react unless you're hitting them, not disrespectfully, but sternly. And then there's other guys that if you hit them like that, they collapse. They're fragile inside and they fold. You've got to prop them up and you know, I'm not kiss their butt, but you gotta hit them with the soft approach, and you have to learn each different person. And I think part of it was he figured that he was getting the opposite of the results that he wanted here. He thought, man, if I'm hard on these guys and I'm pulling, hey, man, let's shake bad habits, that they would do it. And I think he realized, hey, man, this is not working the way I want. Let's try and see if I can get more flies with honey. And voila, look at what happened. And then on top of that, you changed the roster. You added the right players and the right mix. It all came together, and now the pressure's off of everybody. But I think that break was as much mental, clearly physically as well. 2 weeks in the hot tub helped him out.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. First of all, he's come into a team that has put together at least three, if not more, you know, quote-unquote superstars, including him. And I think maybe he took he's always been an unselfish player. I think he was unselfish to a fault early in the season, making the extra pass, not taking it to the rim himself, giving up the ball, trying to make great passes. And like I said, he was a turnover machine. I was scratching my head because he tried to be too slick with the passing and the assistant and you know, would do dumb things with it. I wasn't the only person scratched. I think maybe he tried to, you know, say, okay, I'm not going to try to be the diva, the be all end all. I'm going to involve these other guys. I want to keep everybody happy. I want, you know, Kyrie and Kevin Love and Dion. I want these guys to all be happy. And I'm going to distribute the ball and be the unselfish guy. Well, you know, now it's okay, man. I'm taking it to the rack. You know, he's asserting himself. The other thing that I got the feeling early in the season was almost boredom. You know, I mean, why do I have to play 82 one-night stands?
You know what, Dan?
Just to seed the playoffs.
You're on it. That's it. Let me jump right there. You're on that. He got in that mode, and I do believe that if the Cavaliers have the success over the next few years that we think they're going to have, that you'll get that way here too. He got in the mode where that Miami team they were good. I mean, you can say what you want. That Miami team was good. I mean, they won 2 titles. They got to 4 finals. But at that point, they were on let's fast forward to the playoffs every season, because the season became monotonous for those guys, you know. And that was the challenge Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson always talked about for those Bulls teams that became so dominant, was keeping the guys engaged in the regular season and keeping Jordan engaged. And that's why he loved that he was so competitive to win Offensive Player of the Year and then Defensive Player of the Year and things like that, because without those challenges, you're waiting for the playoffs. And you're right, I felt that way too. LeBron wanted to flip a switch and get to the playoffs. He didn't even want to monkey around with the regular season.
Yeah, and it is obviously a grind. I mean, you figure it's half as many games as they play in Major League Baseball, but at least in Major League Baseball, you go to a city and you play 3 or 4 games at a time. I mean, you've got 82 one-night stands in the NBA, and it's just got to be a brutal grind just to seed the playoffs. And like I was getting that sense too. LeBron's like, ho hum, can we just get going on this, winning this championship thing, which doesn't start till, April or whenever. And, so anyway, I think maybe now that, like you say, there had to be a combination of mental and physical. I don't know, why or how. Maybe LeBron, had been, using some enhancers to make his body be what it looked like. But when he showed up this year, 20 pounds lighter than that, I thought, wow,
I'm with it there.
I hope he can hold up over that grind. And geez, after we're 10 or 15 or 20 games in, I'm thinking I don't think he can. He does not look like the same player. But anyway, I just kind of want to get your feeling on on what contributed to that and where we were.
I'll just throw this out here because Dan hit on something that I've mentioned before, too. I've heard that there's a lot of, and you can look around the league, there were several guys, many guys that came in with noticeable physical changes this year with the HGH and the advent of the testing and different things that the NBA players now have to deal with. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm telling you, if you look around the league, there's some different shaped bodies from certain players, and LeBron was noticeable here because he's here. Just saying, everybody had questions. But, look at two. It's like we talk about in football, how the guys know when the tests are coming, and then once they pass it, as long as they're not, in the system, then they don't have anything else to worry about. Certain guys are getting stronger after the season started. I'm just saying, if you wanted to play conspiracy theory, Jesse Ventura could entertain some of those conversations that we're having right there. But I don't care. Regardless, right now, Cavaliers, you talk about that weird schedule. They're in the middle of it now. I mean, you go to Detroit last night, and then you come back. You've got Portland at the Q. Then you've got this weekend. They've got 3 and 4 coming up, and they're back and forth as well there, too. So, that's the grind of that schedule. But you are right to sum that up. Amazing how much better David Blatt looks after you win a couple of games, man. But I'm just glad that they bought enough time for him to not get ran over by the freight train before we even found out what this guy could do.
Yeah, you're right. And he said it well the other day when they talked about the turnaround. And he basically talking about the personnel changes and bringing Mozgov in, which can't be understated how important that's been to this team on both ends, and LeBron's the first guy to say it. But Blatt used the idea of the bullets in the gun. We've got the bullets in the gun now. We had the gun before. The plan, in other words, my coaching is what he was basically trying to say, hasn't really changed since the start of the season. But we've just got more bullets in the gun now. We've got some guys, some pieces, parts, and this is the team that he wanted to put together. And obviously, he was a big part of the idea that, hey, we need to go out and get a 5 because we really don't have anybody, especially after Anderson went down. So, but Mozgov, geez, I'd never heard of the guy when I heard that they were trying to work a trade for him, and I couldn't be happier with how he looks on both ends. Really got a nice little 10, 12-foot jumper, and he is a rim protector. He's swatting shots. He seems like he's got good agility around the hoop and to get up and good timing on shot blocking and a lot of the instinctive things that you can't teach. So, he's no pup. I think he's 29 years old or something. It's not like he's still yet to grow into the body or anything, or you don't see his game getting a lot better because he's reaching physical maturity. But still, what you've got is, like you said the other day, by far the best 5 they've had since Z left town.
Oh, for sure. And I'll tell you, for all the talk of look at the Cavs' improvement since LeBron came back, at the same time LeBron came back, Mozgov started with this team too. I think if this thing plays itself out, I was talking about Kyrie earlier and LeBron obviously, man, Mozgov could be the MVP of how this season goes down because his emergence. I mean, they asked David Blatt in the last couple of games last night. I chuckle because he gives the same answer. The difference on well, we changed a few schemes and we redid our defense because now they've got the piece that they were missing that enables the defense to all funnel together like it's supposed to. So it's amazing how you can actually put a puzzle together when you have all the pieces in the box. At one point, David Blatt was emptying out the box going, look, man, the corner piece is missing. I don't care. I can't finish the puzzle, man. Who lost the piece? You know how annoying it is when you're missing that piece of the puzzle? Well, boom. Now it's a lot easier to put it together.
Yeah, and when the team decides to go big, and you can throw a front line out there of Love and Thompson and Mozgov, there's not a lot of front lines in the NBA that can stack up against that in terms of size, rebounding ability, and it's going to be hard to capture a rebound against those 3 guys, with just about any other front 3 in the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching Chicago last night, man. Watch out for the Cavs. I'd love to see the Cavs pick up a second big here for depth before the trade deadline. I was watching the Bulls last night. Bulls were down, brother. The Bulls were down double digits. Golden State was running them out of the building. Bulls came all the way back, man, took it to overtime at the very end of the game and ended up winning that game. But they got that combination with Noah and Gasol and Miricic is the other guy, the European guy who was just this guy. He's a big European, 6'7" guy. I've never even seen the guy. He's bearded. He's one of their younger development guys there or whatever. I think this may be his second season. But regardless, this guy's hitting the floor, strides, man. He's driving the lane, hitting up threes and rebounding. Very athletic European fella. But the three of them on the floor together, that's going to be a tough one in the East for the Cavs come playoff time. I was watching, going, well, man, Cavs need to start watching film on this here because the Bulls get it together. Don't look past them in the East because they've got some depth and they've got some big men. They can match up with the Cavs, especially Derrick Rose starting to get his stuff together too.
Yeah, I had heard they beat the Warriors last night. Was that game in Chicago or was it out west?
No, that was in Golden State, brother, and they upset them on the road. And what a comeback. I mean, they were down double digits with less than 2 minutes to go and were able to chop back into that thing and got it at the end and then won it in overtime. And I was amazed with that. But, yeah, I'm telling you, I noticed those three, and I said, boy, love to see the Cavs get one more 6'11", 7-footer. Missing verge. I think they may have some matchup issues there with them. But then again, I was watching Golden State going, Lord, if it's the Cavs, whoever it is, good luck going 7 games with this Golden State team because they'll run you out of the building. They're just up and down, up and down. They can't play defense, so they just try to score 1 million points, and they get pretty close every night.
Yeah, well, speaking of bigs, Jerry, when the Cavs are up by 49 points in the fourth quarter, that's about the only time we get to see, Haywood out there on the floor. But, man, that guy is just an exemption trade, waiting to happen.
Yes,
he is
and that's
just
what
about
I mean.
as worthless as it can be, and it's obvious why he's on this roster, so that they can use him when the season ends to unload that salary and be able to sign somebody, because he sure does not help this team one bit on the floor. He's just hopeless. So yeah, and fortunately, like I said, the only time you get to see him play is when you're up 40 or down 40, and that doesn't happen all that often. But it just pointed out that he's a place on there. He's a roster spot. Opening, and that's about it because he just doesn't help you on court.
He's going to help the Cavs tremendously, though, because he's such a huge trade chip with that expiring contract, man. That I don't think even the end of the season. I think he's gone at the All Star at the trade deadline. I think that if there is another trade for the Cavs to make, it has to involve him. I don't see what other assets they have that would bring in a big type piece here that they may be trying to add to this team. But yeah, we'll see.
Right.
I think he will. Hey, he may be the key here because we may not even realize it, but it might be, hey, that Haywood trade. Remember that, So we'll see, man. But it is a lot more fun to talk about him, a lot more fun to watch him. We'll see what happens. They play Portland tonight. Hey, now back to the Super Bowl. We were talking about that earlier, and man, I'm fired up. All the garbage, whatever, I don't care. They're not talking about it, but I am, and I'm ready to see it, man. I'm afraid to overhype it because, as I said before, we know how much the Super Bowl, especially in like the 80s and early 90s, didn't live up to any of the hype. But I mean, that's hype. This is real. I mean, the Patriots are the best team in the AFC by far, have been, for most of the years in recent history. Seahawks are the most dominant defense since the 85-86 Bears. They're on the verge. They win this Super Bowl. They beat Manning and Brady back-to-back. I'll put that team with the top 5 defenses in NFL history, especially in a little 2-year period like that. They're right up there with the Steel Curtain, Purple People Eaters, the great defenses of all times. But, man, this should be an amazing Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching a good football game. I don't really have a strong rooting interest in the game. I guess if I had to pick one, I'd like to see win. I guess because you've got to have a lot of respect for what Pete Carroll has done there. Talking about the great defenses, it's almost like Miami no name, with the exception of the secondary. certainly the front seven is a bunch of no-name guys. You got Bennett, and you know, the linebackers are good guys. But even at this moment, I can't think of the kid's name. This is a really tough inside linebacker. But you know, maybe the best secondary that we've seen in the NFL for a long time, and I think it's a harbinger of things to come. I mean, I think it's you got to go big. You know, you look at Sherman and Chancellor and Thomas, and these guys are big hitters and they're big guys. It's just the wave of the future. I think Pete Carroll has proven that over the last couple of years, that if you're going to have success against the Des Bryants and the Calvin Johnsons and the Josh Gordons of the world, you're going to have big guys in the secondary. He's done that. He's won with it. And I think other teams are, you know, they're not taking notes. They're silly.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, we talked about that, you know, even looking into the Browns coming out of it when they draft a guy like Desir. You're obviously going to see teams, and I think Ray Farmer buys into that big time. You got to go big. You have to. I mean, with the way the NFL is moving itself. I saw those guys. I don't know if you saw. I swear, it looked like the cover for an R&B album, man. The photo for, was it Sports Illustrated? The Legion of Boom. They posed the other day. They've all got their leather jackets on, and I'm telling you, man, it looked like an outtake of a Jodeci music video or something. But personality abounds, you know. But and I'm with that. You know, of course, Ray Sherman's a character, but I'm not gonna lie. I know he's going to be outspoken and all of that, but listening to him, you know, and all the media day stuff and all of that, but, you know, already setting the stage to me for what happens if the Patriots win this game, you know? I mean, well, Roger Goodell's good friends with Kraft, and, they're taking pictures together and blah, blah, blah. I just think it feels like it is. It's already the undermining of what may happen if New England wins this game has farly begun because of the footballs and all of the crap that we've been talking about for a week and a half. But you can almost feel a setting of the stage to undermine a potential Patriots victory from the Seahawks, from the media, from everybody.
Yeah, I suppose that's true, and there's going to be people that are going to be whiners on both sides, no matter who wins the game. But you know, what I was just hoping is that there's not even an unspoken or unauthorized, but still some kind of a push on the part of, and it would have to be on-field officials, to deny the Patriots a victory because they think it would be better for the league if they don't win. And you know, obviously you hope that doesn't happen. You hope that whatever happens on the field is determined by the players and not the striped shirts. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist in that regard, that the word comes down from the NFL office that X or Y team is going to win the game, and so you go out there and make that happen, Mr. Officials. But still, it could be more subtle than that. It could just be a general feeling that, hey, we don't want these guys to win; they're out of favor, and therefore, you know, we're gonna influence a Seattle victory. You know, again, I hope that isn't part of it. Hope that doesn't happen. Hope there's nothing conscious or unconscious that you know, makes the game go that way. But certainly a lot of people, there's probably more Patriots hate than there is Seahawks hate, certainly, you know, coast to coast. And because of Belichick, because of Brady, because of what is perceived as arrogance by them, I don't buy into that, and I don't hate the Patriots either. I respect what they've done with their program. One thing, and I'll just say this off the cuff, one thing I've always respected about Belichick teams, especially these Patriots teams, is that they are not typically, you know, showboaters. Belichick doesn't like that. He likes the sort of like Urban Meyer, Jim Tressel Buckeye teams who are not doing a lot of strutting, posing, gesticulating, you know, score the touchdown, hand the ball to the official, and go back to the huddle. You know, knock the guy's brains out and then pick him up off the, you know, help him up off the ground. You know, that kind of, you know, deportment on the field, Belichick doesn't put up with a lot of that crap, and so he doesn't get a lot of that from his players. I respect that. You know, the way he coaches those guys, you've got to respect it. So that's just, you know, I don't see that same kind of, you know, arrogance, if you will, for lack of a better word, on the part of the Patriots that some people see and don't like.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big, hey, look, everybody, I'm on record. They know I'm a Bill Belichick supporter. I like him. I hated reading. I've talked about this before. I'll never forget sitting down and there was a great book. It was, War Room was the name of it. I think it had a subtitle that I can't think of, but it basically tracked down Bill Belichick, and it went through the history all the way up until I think the 2012 draft of Bill Belichick, where he started his drafting philosophy, because it basically followed Belichick through the Browns, the Jets, the Patriots, and then his guys, and you saw, Dimitroff and different guys that have gone on to be GMs and Pioli and all of that, and how they followed it. But there's a whole beginning dedicated to how all the roots of what they do in New England, day in and day out, all started here in Cleveland. And with hindsight, it's obvious as hell, but nobody, well, regardless if they saw it, there was no stopping that train that had nothing to do with any, that was all other stuff anyway. But it makes you sick to your stomach. I will never forget reading that book, and it was a giant kick in the gut, because you're going, man, all they're doing is showing us how literally Cleveland kicked this out the door, and now it's looked at as one of the great programs in NFL history.
Yeah, that's true, and I've said it before. When he was here, I wasn't as down on him as a lot of people were, because he inherited a terrible roster from Bud Carson and had him in the playoffs in 3 years, and he always had his teams out there ready to go, ready to play. They had trick plays. They always worked, and he was doing it with chopped liver. I mean, he did not have a lot of talent here in the 3 or 4 years he was here, and he got the most out of them, which is obviously everything a coach is supposed to do.
That 94, the Plain Dealer, Tom Reed, I think it was, had a spotlight a couple weeks ago. But, man, you forget just how good that 94 team was, the defense especially, that Belichick built with parts and pieces a lot of ways, and draft picks that you never heard of, and guys that, you know what I mean? And, I mean, Rob Burnett, and, I mean, a lot of guys that did okay here in Cleveland, but that's what they were, They were just another guy type guys. And that 94 team was strong, man. I mean, obviously we know it, they lost there in the playoffs, but that was that matter of fact, wasn't that was Belichick's first playoff victory season, was that season. Of course, now he's got 20 more later here coming down the back end, but that was his first one, and he beat Parcells and the Patriots.
Right, and it's just the city has never forgiven him, for being a mumbling jerk with the media, which just was something I think he was preconditioned to from coming from the Parcells tree and the New York media, and second of all, for telling the truth about Bernie Kosar, that the city did not want.
Hush your mouth, man. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he said was true, and the people in Cleveland didn't want to hear it.
I don't like you anymore.
So,
I don't like you, man.
That's just,
I don't like you, Dan.
The Cleveland never has forgiven him for that.
I'm not forgiving you now. I can't believe you just said that, man. We are not friends anymore. I've got my Bernie Kosar jersey right here. Off to my left is the picture of Bernie Kosar. Listen, man, you've just broken my heart.
I love Bernie Kosar, but you can't say that.
I know.
When Belichick said his skills were diminishing, that he was wrong.
I know, but he still wasn't. Todd Philcox was the next man.
We didn't. No, we didn't have the answer. We didn't have the answer. And again, Belichick. I can only go by what I see. That's the famous quote.
But you're right. No, Dan, the fact is it wasn't, none of that was right in the way things happened. But after Bernie left here, he was a backup in Miami, made some money to hang out in the weather for a couple of years. I mean, in reality, he was on the back nine, and I get that. But the way it all went down could never be forgiven by Browns.
Oh, sure, and it was a PR disaster for the team and for him. So much so that when Art Modell moved the team to Baltimore, he felt he had to fire him and could not even let him coach a single game or a single season with the new franchise in Baltimore because he was discredited. He was disliked, and because he had done so much, shooting himself in the foot, frankly, with the media. By being a jerk and a mumbler and maybe a little bit too tactless in the way that he approached the media. And again, I take that right back to being a Parcells disciple because Parcells hated him.
Yeah, and Parcells was the same way, really. I mean, he just had the cachet of winning and doing what he did in New York and being able to lean on that and be Bill Parcells, just like now Bill Belichick has the cachet of being in 6 Super Bowls and winning 3 of them, and now he can be the hoodie, and everybody loves it and chuckles when he holds press conferences and snarks down at the media and says, okay, I'm done with this here. I'm going to go back and get ready for my football game now, and you guys can continue with your ridiculousness, man. He just has no toleration for ridiculousness, man, and I love it, man, because a lot of times he does what any normal person would do if they weren't playing along with the media and doing the stuff that helps us have stuff to talk about every day. He just doesn't. He's like, I don't care. Go talk about somebody else. I'm done, man. I got a football game to get ready for. And you know what? Back onto the football. You know, these two teams are very similar, in my opinion, especially look at the game plans. I mean, you got running backs that are going to attack. I mean, beast mode on one side, man. By the way, that man's going to be playing football for free by the time the NFL's done with him, man. I'm telling you, they're determined to just get a full free season out of Marshawn Lynch here before they're done finding him. But, you know, he pounds and attacks the rock. And then you've got, look at what LeGarrette Blount did here, obviously last week or 2 weeks ago, pointing it out in the championship game there, and both defenses are very similar. Belichick, I say what you want. I jokingly tell my friends who don't like Belichick, I'm saying, man, he's the godfather. Belichick invented defense, okay? Let me just tell you Seahawks people something here. Belichick said, hey, let's play both sides of the ball. Before that, they only played offense. He invented that thing called defense. I'm having fun, but man, that's gonna be a hell of a defensive matchup there with these two teams.
Yeah, you're right. And one of the things about Belichick too is that he's doing it with LeGarrette Blount right now. Why? Because he's got LeGarrette Blount. You know, when he didn't have a big bruising running back, he did it with, you know, Danny Woodhead or
Jonas Gray or
Shane
whatever.
Vereen or whoever these guys, no name backs that he comes up with, and you know, he takes the talent that he has and you know, works with it and makes it work. He's not wedded to the idea of a big back offense. It's just, hey, I got this Blount guy, picked him up off the scrap heap after, 31 other NFL teams passed on him through waivers. And, so now I've got this guy. So yeah, it turns out he's pretty good and let's, shoot that gun until someone stops it. So yeah, just adaptability on his part to what he's got. And last 2 times the Patriots have been in the Super Bowl, they've basically been defensive scheme is what they're going to see, with, pressure, 4-man rush pressure with zone behind it. Now, whether the Seahawks decide to play a lot of zone on Sunday or not, we'll see. They're basically a press man team for the most part, but I think they're going to, look at who has had success. And, one thing that they've obviously got to do is try to at least take away Gronk and make Brady beat you with somebody else. Gronk is the guy, and I couldn't believe last week how the Colts were letting him off the line at all. Why would you do that when you know Brady's looking his way? Certainly on 3rd and anything between 3 and 15, he's looking to Gronk first. So you just got to take that away from him. I'm sure Seattle will be all over him and probably try to rough him up and tick him off and knock him off his route, right off the line. If they don't, they're crazy. But, it'll be interesting to watch that and see what degree of success they have with that. But you'd think that if they look at the teams that have been able to have success against New England, especially in the Super Bowl, that they would try to get a lot of heat on Brady with their 4-man rush and just zone behind it and limit the big plays and keep Gronk from beating them.
And I'll tell you what, man, you know what? Exactly. And that's one of the things. Gronkowski, that's true. To me, it's the best at his position at what he does. You got those defensive backs for Seattle, the best at their position. You've got Brady and Russell Wilson, who are both right up there, best at their position. That's what I mean. You can go through some of the individual matchups and go, man, I'm really interested in seeing. I want to see who they put on Gronk. Who's going to draw that matchup? And are they going to rotate guys, or are they going to just, kind of shadow him with the same guy throughout the game, how they defend him there. But the quarterbacks, too, will be big. I mean, you got Brady on one side, Russell Wilson, totally different quarterbacks. You know, one's been there, done that. One's the hot young thing going in the NFL, and that's going to be interesting, too, because I kind of said it at the beginning when we started talking. If Seattle's defense wins this thing here, man, they will have neutralized the two, are really inarguably the two best quarterbacks of their era of football. Brady and Manning back-to-back, and really putting the icing on the cake of being able to do that. But, man, look at Green Bay. Green Bay, for all intents and purposes, won that game. I know they didn't. I know Seattle's the team in the Super Bowl, but, man, for 59 minutes, that wasn't the case. And hats off to Seattle for finding a way to win that game, but a lot of questionable coaching decisions throughout the game perhaps changes who's playing New England in the Super Bowl. And I think now you've got a more, not to slight Mike McCarthy, but you got a more veteran coach and a guy who I think is less in tune to make those mistakes in big games. And so I go back to that too, man. And I say, hey, this thing plays itself out anyway, similar to the NFC title game. I see New England coming out with that one because I don't see Belichick getting out-coached or outplayed or making the wrong decisions like McCarthy did. That's the last game that Seattle played. As dominant as they've been, they were handled for 59 minutes of that game.
Yeah, they sure were, and you're absolutely right that if Bill Belichick has a 13-point lead with 5 minutes to go in the game, you can just put it in the win column. There's just no way he's going to fold the tent like McCarthy did. In fact, the numbers bear that out, and I can't quote you chapter and verse on it, but something, Belichick leading in the fourth quarter or something, the numbers are astounding. The number of games that they won, even leading in the second half or leading at halftime, his track record is pretty incredible. And at home, it's, I think, flawless, and overall, it's damn good. So, you're right. Certainly he's going to be facing a better coach in Belichick, and this is a team that plays well ahead. That being the Patriots. You got to give Seattle credit, though. They're on one heck of a roll. What did they win their last 7 regular season games, Jerry? So that's a hell in this game. You have to put that defense right. The '80s Bears you're at least approaching that. You're at least talking about them in the same sentence.
When I think. You say, hey, who are the top defense? That couple-year run of the Vikings, those are the ones that just, boom, top 3. Seattle wins this one, even without it. Defensively, with a 2-year run since those 85-86 Bears here with what these guys have done. So they're already, and they're at least, to me, in that top 5-year run for a defense.
Yeah, I'd have to go along with that. And the remarkable thing is, to a degree, like I said, they're doing it with mirrors. They're doing it with no-name guys, with the exception of the studs in the secondary that everybody knows about, from Thomas and Chancellor to Sherman. They're just doing it with not a lot of big names.
That's where the Browns got to get it right. You got to hope Farmer's this guy. You got to hope they're doing it by knowing how to draft, by finding these guys. You know what I mean? They're not doing the Denver route. They're not signing everybody's big money free agent and trying to craft a team that way. They're building a team. This is all homegrown stuff and guys that they've went and found in the later rounds of the draft with lower picks and stuff. We talk about New England going back to their drafting strategy. They not only nail their drafts, but they're hitting it at the end of every draft. The opposite of what teams like the Browns are doing. They're doing it with the last picks in every round. But, homegrown talent. Both of these teams, think about it. We talk about quarterbacks and how this playoffs has been a perfect point to say, hey, look at all the elite quarterbacks. Yeah, I think it's also a perfect point to say, look at all these teams, and with the exception of perhaps Denver, look at the Colts, look at the Packers, look at the Seahawks, look at the Patriots. These are homegrown teams that have all drafted well and built their own talent and developed their own talent.
Sure, yeah, and even after the draft is over, Jerry, as we've talked about a little bit before, Farmer, it's encouraging that Farmer is coming up with the Isaiah Crowells of the draft, and the K'Wan Williams and the undrafted free agents. You look at Tayshaun Gibson now; he's not a Ray Farmer guy, but he's a guy that is playing and contributing and playing at Pro Bowl level undrafted. So yeah, you've got to get either lucky or, after a while, it's no longer luck. It's an eye for talent, and hopefully Farmer can pick up another Isaiah Crowell or two, another K'Wan Williams or two, and guys that are going to help your team and contribute, after the draft is over.
Absolutely. That's the secret. Again, you look at those guys, man, and the undrafted ones, like you said, that's even having an eye for talent. To me, when you're able to nail starters undrafted, that's when you've got a money-free, general manager type guy, because hundreds of players were picked in the valuable NFL draft slots, and here this guy slips through the cracks, and you look at Seattle and how many undrafted guys they've got. And Belichick is a master of that too, going, hey, man, I don't know what you're doing throwing that guy away because I can use him, and then boom, and you go, man, nobody else could figure out what to do with this guy. Here he's going to the Pro Bowl playing for Belichick, so.
Right, Julian Edelman is a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly.
Of that.
Yeah,
a kid from Kent State that played quarterback. That's undersized white dude that all of a sudden is a big time receiver in the NFL. And yeah, you've got to have an eye for that kind of stuff. I remember a couple of years ago, Belichick took some heat for this, but he drafted a kid out of Ohio State named Nate Ebner. And Nate Ebner never started a game at Ohio State on either side of the ball. And Bill Belichick spent a 6th round draft choice on Nate Ebner. He was a safety, but he was a rugby player at Ohio State, and he was a special teams demon. He was a gunner. He was a coverage guy on special teams. Made every tackle and just got there, with a bad attitude. And he's a decent sized kid, 6'2", 2 safety, but a guy who played rugby. But here's Belichick drafting a guy, using a draft pick, not a free agent pickup, on a guy who had never started a game at the college level from scrimmage on either side of the football. And guys were criticizing him. He said, now Belichick, he's just showing off, they said. He's just showing off. He's basically saying, I got so good a team that I can spend a draft pick on a guy who I know is just going to play special teams for me, and he's not a kicker or a long snapper even. He's just a guy to run down the field and make a tackle. And he's still on Belichick. I think he's in his 3rd year in the league now. But and I only know about the kid because he was a Buckeye and do the same thing for Ohio State for 3 years. But that's the kind of guy that's the kind of drafting that Belichick does. That's the hole on my roster that I need to fill. So I don't care. I'll use a 6th round pick on the guy, even though I can't even ever project him. And I'm fairly confident safety or outside linebacker or something. He's not big enough to play, outside backer. But technically on the roster he's listed as a safety, but he's a special teamer.
No, that's an absolutely perfect point. That was one of the other things when I read that book there about the philosophy, all of that, how they built it, that Bill Belichick values draft picks completely different. That it's changing now because everybody reads these, but everybody gets, now they're all trying to copy what he does, but had a completely different value system for his draft picks than anybody else in the NFL was using. And that's what enabled New England to sneak up on people for so many years before they stopped and said, what the hell is Belichick doing here in the draft? He just had a complete different valuation system. So their trades were different. Everything that they did was different than the way the rest of the NFL was approaching things. Let me put you on the spot here, man. Who's going to win the game?
I think Seattle's going to take it. I'm going to root for the Big Ten guy. Well, I guess both quarterbacks are Big Ten guys, but I'm going to root for Russell Wilson. He's just an easy player to like. I think they'll have the better defense on the field, and I think I've got my head and my heart are on Seattle's side in this game, and I like them in a close game.
All right, man. Dan Wismar, we'll find out, man. Super Bowl on the verge. You and I will be able to talk about it the day after and see how that works out. I am expecting a heck of a game here, man. I'll tell you what, man. We don't have a lot of time to get into it today, man, but that's okay. Starting next week, man, football's in the back burner. Next week, we're under 2 weeks to go until spring training, and I don't care. I get warm just thinking about it here, and man.
Oh, I can't wait, Jerry. By the way, I want to ask
trucks
you, before you let me go, talk to me about what you know about the physical changes to Progressive Field. What are they doing out there in right center field? What do you see happening there? Just briefly, obviously they're doing some remodeling. They took out a bunch of seats. They revamped. They're changing the bullpens around. They're changing how Gate C, that main gate by the Mount Feller statue, is configured. What do you know about what's actually going on there?
Well, and you know what, it stinks because they invite me every month to come out and tour, but they do it literally during the Sports Fix. It's every one of them.
Yeah.
It's dead in the middle of the show, and I'm like, doggone it, Joel Hammond, I cannot come and go check out the changes. But I've seen a couple of the latest renderings and pictures of where it's going, and like that Gate C area, they've like raised it out where from inside you'll be able to see now, and you'll just have a much more expansive view of downtown Cleveland, and the same thing the other way in, looking kind of directly in. I mean, a lot of the changes they made were simply the matter of taking out seats so that you can have less seats that are empty in the building, adding some different restaurants and some different things like that, which, you know, I always chuckle. The Browns just sent out the thing about the latest renovation with them, and I'm like, 90% of these are all value things for the franchise, not for the fans. Like, and matter of fact, off the topic, all of the stage 2 stuff that the Browns are doing now, these are all money-generating things for the Browns. Phase 1 was the escalators and the speakers and things that you'll notice in the stadium. Phase 2 is all club stuff. Bigger restaurants, more expensive restaurants, more places to buy food. You know what I'm saying?
And then they could use a lot of help underneath in that concourse. That's what I understand that the Phase 2 is going to be, is concourse-oriented. And I'm not sure if it's club seat-oriented because you couldn't get much more
no, but they're going to put a new hospitality section there.
I had club seats before up there.
No, but the Browns
but like you're right, it's about concessions. It's about moving more product underneath on the concourses, as opposed to out there in the field bowl.
Yeah, and for the club level, the Browns are opening up, I believe, a whole new hospitality section. It would be a more a high-priced kind of fancy place to chill. Matter of fact, I think they're putting field-level stuff, too, like they've got at Cowboys Stadium. So,
okay.
As well. But yeah, with Progressive Field, that'll be the biggest change that people see there is being able to see in and out more there. But I'm really looking forward to getting down. Indians say, they just updated me a couple of days ago, said that they're on pace. The only thing that they're worried about is the frozen ground causing some problems in the final stages of it. But everything's on pace for this thing to be done and ready to go. So I'll be interested to see as well how that looks and if that changes the intimacy, if it draws some people down. I don't know. A good spring training and a good start to the season will draw a lot of people down there too. But let's start talking about that next week. We'll be past the Super Bowl, man. We'll start ramping up to some spring training, baby.
Sounds good, Jerry. I'll catch up to you on Monday.
All right, Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, my man, going to be with us here on Monday. We will talk about the Super Bowl and break it down. He's with us Mondays and Wednesdays here on the show. We'll start really winding into some spring training talk next week, as well as we'll be within 2 weeks. And that means the truck's going down, because the truck usually precedes the start of spring training by about 2 weeks. So I'm pretty sure the truck will pack up probably Monday or Tuesday. You'll start seeing the Indians tweet out pictures of the trucks heading out to spring training. All right, let's take a break. Final one here. We'll come back. Well, maybe not the final break of the show, but final one before Doug Plagens joins us. Hey, like how I did that? Let's get out of here. Come right back. Doug Plagens, voice of the Lake Erie Monsters and voice of the AHL All Star Game this season. We'll talk to Doug Plagens about all of that and look ahead to some second half Monsters action coming up next. Doug Plagens joins us live here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!
The Sports Fix.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they fantastic graphic designer, business cards, signs, banners, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business. The thing about them too is each of their locations, whether it's the home with or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business. Them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440 home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship.
It's the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to your league trophy. Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for boaters and fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. From their awesome Wing Mondays to every single Cavaliers and Buckeye Hoops games in full HD, the excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials. Fight fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens. And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger. Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious. What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Hey, everybody. Listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey, guys. Listen up. No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it. It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Hey, you guys are rocking with Reggie Germany, former wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills and Ohio State Buckeye. You're rocking with the Sports.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live. Man, getting ready to cross over into that third hour threshold here. J-Rocc back with you, live across the to feel like a monster with my man Doug Plagens, the voice of Lake Erie Monsters hockey. And he's not only feeling like a monster, he's feeling like an all-star here is Doug Plagens. Honored to represent the AHL in the All Star Game. He called the All Star Game. I'm going to talk to him about that here as the Monsters prepare to start the, I don't know if it's officially the second half. I think it might be a few games ahead of that. But regardless, it's the post-All-Star break, second half of the season. It's coming up here. Monsters, a few more days off before they're on the road to OKC. We'll pick up there with Doug Plagens, voice of the Monsters. You guys conversate with us on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. I'm going to the phones. Doug Plagens, voice of the Monsters, on with us now. Doug, how you doing this afternoon, my friend?
Doing great. How are you?
Hey, I'm all right, man. Thanks for being here with us. And a lot of things since the last time we talked to get into here, man, that I want to talk to with. Monsters finished out the pre-break their first half with a good ending of things. Then you found yourself occupied over the last couple of days as you were selected to call the action for the AHL All Star Game. Man, talk to me. We'll talk about that in a minute. I mean, obviously, good for the Monsters to wrap up the first half. I say that in air quotes, but wrap up the first half of the season the way they did with San Antonio.
Yeah, couldn't have wrapped it up any better as they win the All Star break, winning back-to-back games against a team that's currently in the top 8 in the Western Conference in that current playoff picture. So the Monsters got those 2 wins. They, the game on Saturday was maybe a little closer than they would have liked, but they pulled it out in overtime in front of a crowd of over 14,000 people here at the Q. And it was Cleveland Rock's night. We knew going into the week that it was going to be one of the best crowds of the year, and 14,000 plus, that'll get it every time. So they all came to their feet. They were happy, and the Monsters got the 3-2 victory on Saturday. And again, you saw some big play there before the pre-All-Star break period came to an end, and got the Monsters a couple of games over 500, and they need the positive momentum going into a tough 3-game road trip here, with 2 against Oklahoma City and 1 against Milwaukee, both of which are among the hottest teams in the league right now.
Yeah, OKC top in the conference. Obviously, both top 4. Milwaukee, I think, checks in at 4th here this morning. It may be 3rd. I don't know. They're right there as well. And but yeah, great way to end the first half before the All-Star break. Puts you those few games above 500 there. Also inches you a bit closer. Monsters now 11th in the conference, as that will start to matter down the second half. But we hit the break here, and I'm curious because I didn't have any inkling of it. I don't know when or where you found out or were selected, but when did you find out that they were going to bestow the honor onto you of being one of the people to call the AHL All Star Game this past weekend?
I knew for a couple of weeks, but it wasn't something that was actually announced until late last week. But you know, it was they asked me if it was something that I'd be interested in doing, and of course I jumped at it. It's a lot of fun. And back when I was in the ECHL with the Idaho Steelheads, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the broadcast for the 2010 ECHL All Star Game out in California, and so you know, to be able to do it again at this level is certainly something that I'll remember for a long time. It was a lot of fun to be a part of it, and you know, it's a mid-season party essentially to really celebrate the American Hockey League and see some of the best players in the league, some of the best prospects in the league, see a lot of people that you know from around the AHL. So it's just a great mid-season celebration. Like I said, to go and be a part of that and to work the broadcast with a couple other guys from the AHL is a lot of fun.
You know what? I'll go ahead and blow some smoke at you here for a second. I think it's really an honor as well, and I use that term because not just does it speak towards the way you call games, but I mean, obviously, when you're doing an All-Star game, they are looking for somebody who has a wide knowledge and familiarity with the entire league. I think that speaks as well to you just being on the ball with things there, man. And you know, professionally, that's some great exposure as well, because that was across the NHL radio channel on Sirius, right?
Yep. It was on satellite radio across the world, Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, and it was also on locally out in Central New York. And it was a great showcase for the league. Utica did a great job. The league did a great job. The Utica Memorial Auditorium is a historical building, and it looked great. And like I said, it's you know, I'm honored every night when I get to call play-by-play for a professional hockey game, but to be able to do it for an All-Star game was that much cooler.
Well, I love that answer. Excellent answer there, Doug Plagens, my man. But yeah, congratulations to you, man. When I saw that over the weekend, I said, all right, man, way to go. Awesome exposure for yourself and a great recognition, too, and really cool stuff there. Let me ask you, Utica, New York there, I don't know, and you were Monday, so maybe you just missed or whatever, but the nuclear snow explosion that's going on here, how much of that did or did not affect where you guys were here for the All-Star game?
They didn't quite get it like I think they got it elsewhere, and to be honest with you, I don't know if it actually lived up to the hype of what was being talked about. As far as what that storm was supposed to be, that made it sound like the entire hemisphere was going to be under 14 feet of snow. But
I'm telling you,
Utica's in a snowbelt region there in upstate New York, and Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, those cities, they get pounded with snow every winter. And having spent time in Syracuse as a student, I know what it's like. Everybody there deals with it, and everybody's just a champ about it. Nobody gets down about the snow. It's just part of life. And when you drive out there across the New York Thruway to Utica, you're going to be driving through some snow. It's 100% inevitable. As soon as you get to Buffalo, it's like, okay, it's going to start snowing now, and it does, and you deal with it. And it didn't affect anything at all.
Right, Doug, we're used to this. I mean, even Monday, I was hearing the stuff over the weekend about this impending storm. Monday morning, I was up doing prep for the show, and I made the mistake of flipping to a regular show and not something sports. And here's the news guy, and he's acting, like you said, like the hemisphere is going to break in half from the weight of the snow. And he goes, and it's a guarantee that upwards of 2 feet of snow will fall. And that crazy. Like, I mean, I get it. Okay, it's 2 feet of time. I mean, granted, not at that level, but even if it came at that level, this wasn't food for 3 weeks because you can't leave the house kind of stuff. But that was
unless it's 2 feet of snow in 10 minutes.
Right, right, yeah. Then you're trapped.
It's something you're going to be able to deal with, yeah.
And I mean, they were showing people at stores stocking up on supplies, and I'm going, man, as you saw, us being wrestling guys, they canceled events this week, sports events, pro wrestling. They canceled Monday Night Raw. Things were wiped out, and it turned out, as you said afterwards too, yeah, there was a few rough spots, but it did not in any way. It couldn't live up to the hype. That's the new thing, is to overhype the next snowstorm and give it a name, and
or the next any storm.
Yes, yeah, tropical storm, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then afterwards you go, oh, well, we've had worse. I mean, but that's the thing. You can't, it's like society. You build it up to tear it down. You got to build up the storm so then you can cover it afterwards. So, whatever, man. But I did get a kick, and I knew you were up in upstate New York, and they do get a good amount of snow anyway. So I wondered if your travel was affected or anything like that. So you're back home now, and now the focus switches here. Monsters as well. 2 more days off for you guys here. Finish out the All-Star break before, as we said at the beginning here, a rough start. I mean, it's what you want. You want to jump right in the fire in the second half. It doesn't get any more than back-to-back games on the road against the number 1 team in the conference, Oklahoma City.
Yep, that starts up Friday night. Enough time to do some laundry, pack a bag, and get back on the road. We'll fly out to Oklahoma City tomorrow, and then the Monsters will play the Barons on Friday and Saturday night, and then a couple days off. Then it'll be a road game in Milwaukee. It starts with those games against Oklahoma City, and like you said, you start off the second half with the tough obstacle. Claw back into the playoff chase. You got to beat the teams that are currently in that playoff race right now. And Oklahoma City is the team that's setting the bar. They're a team that handed the Monsters a couple of losses here at the Q not too long ago, so the Monsters will want to bounce back from those. The Monsters kept those games close. They can play Oklahoma City tough, and like you said, Oklahoma City has really been. They were the league's class of the first half. They played great hockey from start to finish. They were really that one team that never went into a prolonged slump. I mean, if they had any kind of a slump, it was probably the first week or so of the season, and they turned it around very quickly, and they've been very good ever since. So stiff task for the Monsters coming out of the All-Star break, and then they go to Milwaukee, and the Admirals have been on fire as they've charged up the standings recently. So a few tough games here coming up, but those are the teams you're going to have to knock off to get back into the race.
That's it. OKC, as you said, they'll start the second half here 28-10-2. Monsters got themselves a couple of games above 500 at the end of the first half. 18-16-3 here, man, as they head into the second half. And Doug, it'll be a great weekend of Monsters action. You and I will catch back up next week, and now we're back into it. We'll start making some hay in the second half of this thing. Hopefully, we're talking about a couple of good wins here over OKC to start the second half and get this thing rolling.
Yep, important games to win because if you fall short here and you drop back to 500, 500's not gonna do the trick. So it's it's the time of the season where you hope the Monsters are able to get some momentum off those wins against a good San Antonio team and keep that moving forward here. They'd ideally you'd like to get on a little bit of a roll here going into the second half of the year.
Absolutely. Doug, take them down there. I know you're just calling the action, so I could say bring us a victory, but you don't have the most control.
Hey, I always try to win the broadcast every night.
There you go, man. Do what you can do for us here, Doug. Let's see what you can do to bring home a couple of victories. Let's catch up next week, man, and see where it's going and start this second half of the season. Playoff push time. Heading downhill now.
Yep, coming down the stretch. Thanks again for having me.
You got it. Doug Plagens, voice of the Monsters. Thanks for squeezing us in today. Congratulations once again, Dougie P., voice of the AHL All Star Game as well. Cool stuff there. And you get him every single night right here calling your Lake Erie Monsters games. All right, final break. This one really is the final break of the show. We'll come back. A quick one here, get it out of the way. When we come back, talk a little bit, hey, Mayweather and PacMan. I mentioned it earlier, man. They teased it last night at the Miami Heat game. We'll talk about that. Joe Haden, a good deal with him in the Special Olympics as well. Cavaliers, Portland tonight. Let's wrap it up, set it up, and all of that when we come back. Final segment of the Sports Fix coming up next.
My secret side I keep hid under lock and key. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. 'Cause if I let him out, he'll tear me up, break me down. Why won't somebody come and save me from this? Make it in. I feel it deep within. It's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I hate what I've become.
The Sports Fix.
A shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist.
The Sports Fix.
A young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of criminals who operate above the law.
The fix is in. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. From their awesome Wing Mondays to every single Cavaliers and Buckeye Hoops games in full HD.
Kyrie split the D, goes inside, teardrops it home right down Euclid. That's way up in there for two.
The excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials.
And now,
fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens.
let's get it all!
And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger.
They sure are good.
Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious.
Hey there, eat up, y'all. You's as good church-going folk. Y'all deserve a little treat.
What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd. The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
Timeout! Okay, guys, Summers really had his bell rung and could have a concussion. I'm pulling him out for the game. Rodriguez, you're in for Summers.
Come on, Coach. It's just a ding. I'll shake it off.
Yeah, he's tough. Plus, we need to win this to make the playoffs.
Listen, we're a team and we need to look out for each other. Concussions are serious. No game is more important than your health.
Take concussions out of play. If you're a coach, know the warning signs and never let athletes return to play before a healthcare professional says it's okay. A message from CDC.
Hi, this is Patrick Borlow from Cleveland Lake Erie Monsters, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix. Final segment here, wrapping it up. Turned out to be a good show. I'm not going to lie. When I first got here today, I was only here so I didn't get fined. I mean, I was going to fine myself, but, you know, I wanted to avoid any problems there, so I showed up, and I was only here so I didn't get fined. But I decided to stick around and have a good time. I didn't even set a timer on my phone, man. Marshawn Lynch yesterday, man, I mean, he was a trip and a half, man. He set the timer on his phone, put it on the desk, and said 4 minutes and 51 seconds, man. I'm only here so I don't get fined. Time's up. See you later, man. And he hit the bricks, man. And, hey, man, that 4 minutes and 51 seconds saved him a $100,000 fine from the NFL. And, hey, look, Some people going ballistic about that stuff. I mean, me personally, hey, man, you know, whatever. It's a function of what you do. I think that's something that athletes, you know, don't like to do, but unfortunately it's a byproduct of what you do. There are, you know, there's people whose job it is to do the other part of it. So, you know, but hey, look, at the same time, I don't get the overboardness with it, which is where this thing is going, man. I mean, there's plenty of guys to answer questions. I get why the NFL is the way they are. It's not a Marshawn Lynch thing. It's because if this guy can pick and choose and then that guy, well, then guess what? Then you end up with a media day where none of the superstars show up and you've got a bunch of long snappers answering questions about the Super Bowl. No offense if you're a long snapper out there listening to the show. Don't worry. Your buddies, the kickers and punters, will be there on media day too. Maybe a couple of practice squad offensive linemen, but other than that, nobody else is showing up. So that's why it is the way it is. But you know, whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and devote, you know, 6 hours of media time to it. Like I've literally been told some of the cats around Cleveland radio have. I mean, really? How could you get into it with that, man? I mean, really? It's disrespectful to the game. Cats use steroids, beat their wives, you know, beat their girlfriends, you know, beat each other up, do all kinds of things, and then not talking to the media is disrespectful to the game. Spending 10 days making me listen to the word Deflategate and garbage about inflated and deflated footballs, that is more detrimental to the game and disrespectful to the game than that ridiculousness. Plus, you know what? The NFL shouldn't invite every Tom, Dick, and Harry out for media. It's ridiculous. I've gone through the process. I didn't go, but I was going to go to Indianapolis, and I got preliminary credentials. They wouldn't credential me for the game because, you know, there's only so many spots for that. But they'll credential every Tom, Dick, and Harry for the media day scrum. And it's turned into a joke where, you know, radio stations will get the local stripper and she'll win a contest and she gets to go in a bikini and ask Tom Brady to marry her. And then you'll get, you know, the local rapper who said, I'll put Skittles in my teeth and I'll get them injected into my mouth if you let me go interview Marshawn Lynch. Look, I made a grill out of Skittles. I mean, it's all the dumb stuff. They send 6-year-old kids to ask questions, and I'm not even pointing out specific examples. I'm just making up stuff, and I'm betting that all them things I just made up actually happen every single year. So they make a joke out of it. I'm all about hype. I mean, even I see Bruce with that. I'm all about hype. It's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest game of the year. Send media down there to ask questions of the players about the game. But they create that media day scrum there. They make a joke atmosphere out of it. And then you wonder why the players get tired of dancing to the tune sometimes, man. I'm not totally saying, hey, look, I think I'm in the media and my job becomes easier when you sit down and talk to me a bit about your questions, and then it eliminates me having to infer my opinion because you just answer my questions. But that being said, I'm not all about pulling them out there like a trained monkey either when we have all these other things going on too. There's worse things that can happen, but you know, there's got to be a happy medium. To me, what purpose does it serve for the guy to be out there with a timer not answering questions so he doesn't get fined? I mean, at that point, we're running a rote exercise here for no reason, and it's kind of ignorant, and it's treating everybody. But that's what they want, because now you've got another circus to talk about. As long as there's a fire to put out, as long as there's a third ring in the circus, there's always something stupid going on to talk about. But whatever, you know. So, like I said, that man, they're guaranteed he'll be playing the season for free before it's all said and done here. Speaking of Marshawn Lynch. All right, talking about other things. They won't be fighting this one for free, that's for sure. Mayweather, Pacquiao. I don't know if you guys saw last night, but Mayweather and Pacquiao both happened to be at the Heat game. So the graphics people had some fun, and they put the split screen up on the screen and said coming in 2015 and had some fun with it. But the latest word is that if they don't get something done in the next few days, you can forget a May 2nd fight between Pacquiao and Mayweather. I'm all for it. They already missed the peak of this thing, obviously, by letting guys get taken down a couple of pegs, especially looking at Pacquiao recently. But I just think that they missed the peak of the fever on this. But now, if they don't have something settled here, both camps say that they won't have enough time to promote this thing. So they set end of January, beginning of February as the deadline for when this thing had to be done. Apparently, both sides, according to everything that's out there, have what's called a memo, a deal memo, where you've got all the bullet points agreed to, but you have to nail out all the little details to officially launch it as a contract. I'm all about seeing that fight. I don't know about you guys. That's one of the fights out there that actually has some appeal to me, and I think it's just because, after all so long, I want to see who was really afraid of who. Let's see what happens when they put the gloves on, because then we'll find out. All the talk will be out of the way, man. +2. They're up there. 138 is for Mayweather and 136 in Pacquiao. You can still buy that. You can still buy that as a main event level fight. But, you get any later than that, you're going to start talking about two, 40-year-old guys going out there, and it starts to lose its luster. And think about how long it took to get Holyfield and Tyson in the ring, man. If they'd been able to get, and obviously the rape charge and the prison term got in the way of that, or it would have happened way sooner. But, man, that fight would have been an even bigger mega fight had it come at the right time when they were both at their peak instead of years later. That's what Pacquiao and Mayweather's kind of turning into, is they missed the peak on that, but they could still draw pretty big at where it's at now. But you wait too much longer. And if they don't get a deal now, then you can forget May 2nd, and that May weekend is the weekend that I think if you don't get a deal for that, it would have to circle around a year, because they seem to want to go with the Cinco de Mayo weekend for that big mega fight deal. I would think you're now adding a year to it. If they don't get it done here, each guy will fight this year, one more fight of somebody else. Pacquiao, if he doesn't fight Mayweather, he's fighting somebody Cinco de Mayo weekend. That's like a tradition thing they're doing now. So if you don't get it now, I've got to think you may not get around to negotiating again until next year. And then Pacquiao's 37, and Mayweather's on the brink of being 40. So that's something to keep in mind as well, just when you're looking at this thing. And I'm telling you, neither one of those, it's the old case of two guys scared of each other. Neither one of them wants to come out on the front lawn and fight. They're both tough in their own neighborhood, but each one's not sure if the other guy is that guy. And they're like, man, well, if I'm going to take the risk, I want this, this, and this, and I want this, this, and this, and whatever, man. But I'll be interested to see if they actually get them in the ring. Part of me says they'll never actually get them in the ring, because if they wanted to fight, they would have already fought. But the reality is, I think they each realize that there's nobody left. There's nobody left to draw against. Pacquiao is always going to draw 500 to 700,000 for his fights no matter what. Mayweather's always, he can fight a tomato can. He's going to draw 800, 900,000 fights, 1 million against the right guy. The only mega fight for those guys is against each other. Against each other, they do 1.5 million easily, and maybe more. Maybe close in on 2 million pay-per-view buys for that one. They'd be mega buku big bucks, man. And they know that. That's the only big one left, man. So we'll see if they ever get around to it. But the Heat had some fun with that one last night at the game. They tweeted that thing out. You got like 5,000 retweets in the first couple of minutes that one was put out there. A couple of other things as we wrap things up. I mentioned it a couple of times teasing, if you guys hadn't heard, Joe Haden. This is just kind of cool, man. It has nothing to do with the football field. Joe Haden, Browns cornerback, actually became the first pro football player who was named the global ambassador for the Special Olympics. First player in NFL history to get that prestigious distinction here, which I think is pretty cool because it's way more than just a token thing. There will be a ton of new appearances that are added to his schedule. Hey, some guys are not willing to take that on. There's going to be a lot of appearances, a lot of road work that comes with that here for being the. That's not the. That's not, like I said, a token thing. That's the global ambassador. There'll be a lot of travel, a lot of appearances, a lot of public relations stuff. But I think it's great. As you guys know, I'm big on volunteering, community, charity, all of that. This just ties all of those in to the same places. I'm with it. We spend so much time quickly pointing out when somebody does something stupid, somebody does something wrong, man, that you have to do that too. You have to do the flip side. I think it's awesome. It shows a great commitment. And the Special Olympics, I've done some stuff, small things with some different Special Olympics events, man, and that's always a fun group of people, adults and children. There's different branches of it. Always a group, always fun, man. Always fun. Energy of life is just abounded when you're surrounded by people that truly appreciate it, man. And sometimes you have to bring yourself down to earth. Joe Haden's not one of them cats, though. He's already down to earth. Exactly. It's very important to him. Bruce points out in the chat room, his family. They're already very important to him as it is. But you look at some of the other people over the years who have been on this list. I mean, you got guys like Michael Phelps and, Scott Hamilton and Apollo Ono and Nadia Comanche and different people, and the Princess of Monaco and some different athletes over the years. So, it's a cool thing. And like I said, I just wanted to point it out because we point out so quickly every time somebody, sends an Instagram from Aspen. So, let's at least point out the good side as well. Cavaliers tonight, wrapping things up. Portland back at the Q after a quick getaway to Detroit last night. Can the Cavs make this thing 8 in a row? Portland needs a victory here. They've got LaMarcus Aldridge, Damian Lillard here. Cavaliers on a run. We've talked about it earlier in the show, bringing that 7-game streak in. Portland got a victory the other day. Prior to that, they had lost 5 of their last 6 games. First couple of those, though, came when they lost Aldridge before he decided not to have surgery. I'll tell you what, breaks his thumb, needs surgery, sits out a couple of games. Instead says, I'm going to gut my way through it. First game out, drops 26 on, man. So that's a guy that's going to tough it out for his team. I can totally appreciate that one there. But Portland looking to continue to shake off the doldrums here. They've still lost 5 of 7 coming into this one as they head down here. Portland defensively strong, man, averaging only 97 points allowed a game per season. Offensively, 103 points a game. Speaking of 103, Cavaliers with their victory here the other day, yesterday, 103-95. They passed that 102-point mark. The Cavaliers have only lost 1 game this season. I believe it's 20-1, but I don't have the exact stat in front of me. Cavaliers have only lost 1 game this season when they've scored 102 points or more. That's their magic number offensively for them to just be dominant on the record here. Cavaliers, Portland comes in. They're still 500 on the road, 12-8, over 500. 12-8 on the season. Cavs riding this hot homestand, 15-9 now, protecting home court. And it'll be a fun one tonight. I think this will be a good one. Remember, Cavs on the back end of a back-to-back here, so you're going to have the, you can expect a little bit of sluggishness coming out of that one. Kyrie bouncing off of that 38-point game last night. LeBron with 32. Lillard's coming in hot. He's averaging, and by the way, against the Cavs, he's averaging nearly 26 points a game. But he's also been doing that throughout this last run. He is averaging, he scored at least 20 the last 6 games. He's been on fire for Portland, including the 7 of 8, man, that they've taken in this series from the Cavs. Hopefully the Cavs can turn that one around here, man. I'm with it, man. Tonight's going to be a good one. Cavaliers, Portland at the Q tomorrow. Eddie Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland will be in the house. We'll talk about this back-to-back, and we'll breathe as the Cavaliers will before they hit another back-to-back coming up this weekend. A tough stretch, 4 games in 5 days in the back end of this. We'll do all the Cavaliers talk with Eddie Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland. Will they be on the front end of an 8-game winning streak by the time we come back into this one here? Eddie Jansen, More Than a Fan Cleveland, will be in the house with us tomorrow to talk about that. Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com will be here. Who knows what Mike's going to want to talk about tomorrow? I'm going to talk to him a little bit about the couple of goofy baseball things that are just driving me nuts from over the weekend. Rob Manfred came out and said he would be interested in hearing conversation on eliminating the shift in baseball. I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't that like the same as saying no more zone blitz in the NFL, or no more NBA teams. You're not allowed to substitute in the last 2 minutes of a game. Like, you're changing one of the fundamental strategies of the game because guys can't learn how to beat the shift because nobody can be disciplined enough to learn how to bloop it into left field or bunt for the... Guess what? If players just bunted for the cheap hit every time a team shifted on them, teams would stop shifting right away. But now we live in an era where the bunt is illegal because nobody bunts. Nobody bunts, you know? Charles, 102 was the number. 102, not 100. 102 points when they're over that number there. But Charles is refuting my scientific knowledge over here. 102 points. You keep showing me games where they scored 100 or 101 points. The number that I pointed out was 102. Anyways, back... I'm just saying, it's invisible for those of you listening, but Charles is over there in the chat room, and he's like, you're wrong. They lost this game, and they lost this game, and they lost this game. And I'm like, yes, 100 and 101 points. 102. They've only lost one game this season when they've passed that mark. I believe it's 20-1, but you'll have to go look at the front end of that one to see if I'm right. Oh, Charles, I know you're trying to help. I'm doing the math right along with you here, live on the air. Meanwhile, you completely killed whatever the final point that I was trying to make there was. Cavs tonight. We're talking about it tomorrow with Mike Brandenberry, right? So changing the shifts. Yeah, I don't get that one at all, but the pitch count too as well. I am not about putting a clock on now the batter's got 15 seconds, the pitcher's got 20 seconds. Come on, man. I get it. Baseball needs to pick up the pace, but that's artificial. I'm not a big fan of that, but whatever, man. I mean, we'll talk about it with Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com as well. Start rolling into spring training, and who knows who else is going to be in the house here tomorrow. Can't wait. Thursday edition of the Sports Fix. We continue marching towards the Super Bowl, talking some Cavs with Eddie Jansen, Mike Brandenberry, Indians, and more. Be here, baby, live, same bat time, same bat channel, noon, across the Sports Fix Radio Network. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the Cavs game tonight. Have some fun. Cavs and the Blazers. Get back here and talk to us about it tomorrow. We love you, Cleveland and beyond, and we will see you tomorrow, noon, live, right here on The Fix.
We overcome, yes, I have a dream, and I know I ain't the only one. Modell tried to steal my heart, but we brought it back. Face of Cleveland Clinic, now they call them Kiss the Cardiac. Rock Cars, Science Center, Tower City, all of that. Warehouse District, Euclid Corridor, and all the flat. You know that I'm a Tribes fan, and I love Slimans. Crockett Park's the perfect place for me to spend some time in. Baby, this is Cleveland. It is so much more to us. You can even go to Severance Hall to see an orchestra.
In Cleveland, we rep our city.
Yeah.
From the gritty, we're sick fitted, hood class cover any city that we visit.